But what about those people? Because I've heard stories of people who had bills before they could even legally have bills, right? Yeah. Electricity is in my name at 6. She found out she had $5,000 in debt in electric bill.
How does that happen?
So your parents do it.
Your parents
What
put
the
your
fuck?
electric bill in your name.
Yeah, they have your social security number. And I think
that is so bad.
Yeah, and a lot of people want instant gratification. We live in a world where we want instant gratification, and I think a lot of our money anxiety flows around that as well, because we want it now. We want to be out of debt next year, and sometimes that's really unrealistic. You have to look at it from a realistic standpoint, and maybe you can't pay down $10,000 in a year, but maybe you could do it in a year and a half, and that's okay.
Hey y'all, good morning. You are tuning in to the Morning Melanin Podcast, waking the people up with candid combos about business, culture, healing, community, and all the things. I am your host, Be Conscious, and you are tuning in to a Bank On It edition episode, discussing keys to achieving wealth and financial solvency in our community. This episode is brought to you by YP Studios, a content hub for all things Our Palette. All content is produced, edited, and directed in part by Culture X Media. And the entire show is curated by the Our Palette Network. Let's buy black the right way.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
We're going to do some preliminary stuff. I need to write down the house rules because I always forget them. But I do need to. Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be nice. Next time. Let's start with the house rules. That'll get us nice and warm. We already have drinks in front of us, so I think that was one of the rules. Is take a shot. Yeah, we already got that. One in conversation. If you interrupt somebody and you accidentally cut them off in mid-conversation, you'll say, "Okay, sorry to cut your wisdom." A tangent rule. So if you have a tangent or an anecdote, maybe a rabbit hole you're going down, all you do is just point your finger up to the sky and just say tangent before you start your tangent. Simple. And everyone else will join you. Say tangent. Agree to agree. I don't think dissonance is as productive as we make it out to be. So you can agree to have different points of view, but I don't think you should agree to disagree, right? And you all know the saying, you shouldn't go to bed angry, right? You actually shouldn't. So why should you go to bed disagreeing as well? You can agree to agree. That you see things differently. Yeah, you know these things. Yeah, you know these things. Yeah, you know these things. Right. But yeah, other than that, we're gonna have a good time. So this is episode 1. We're talking about money. Money. Okay. Specifically, how do you make our money and other people's money? Actually, we're gonna talk about OPM as well. How to keep money, how to invest money, how to save money. How to grow money, all the things you can do with money. We're going to dive into that and ask you some personal questions about which banks you bank with. You can share as much as you're comfortable with. Whole financial profile, your investment portfolio. Do you have an accountant? Do you have credit cards? Do you have business credit cards? We can get into all of that. What else? Yeah, have fun. Have fun. It's just us,
You got your button thingy?
I do. I have the button thingy. Unfortunately, you probably won't be able to hear it as much. You might be. Yeah, it's a little bit. Hold on. Let me turn this up all the way. It was, but now I have it directly into my recorder.
What's the button for?
It's just a soundboard.
Oh, cool.
Fun stuff. So we've got.
Don't understand what's going on here.
That's one here. Stuff's going on.
What the fuck?
So, a bunch of stuff, and you might hear some other stuff as we go along. It's another house rule, so we might have to stop recording every now and then just to give the camera some time to rest. When we come back in, with energy. So, as soon as Nina counts us down, clap us in, we're going to be like, all right, y'all, we back. Episode 1. Vanessa gets it. Vanessa going to have fun today. We're going to have fun today.
I'm here for it.
Right. Yes. Oh, yes. Very important questions. No, yeah, that's my favorite icebreakers. My team is probably sick of it by now because they've heard it 1,000 times. But these are very important questions that you must answer in order for us to continue our acquaintanceship/friendship. It's very important. Drums or flats? Choose your answers wisely. The door is right there.
You said drum or flex?
Drums or flats?
Oh.
I'm a flat person.
Oh. Drums.
That's the major point of contention.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the
All
number
right.
one
Well,
thing.
this was nice. I'll see y'all later.
Wait, who drove?
You're no longer welcome.
Did you drive?
I drove,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I drove.
Right.
Oh, yikes.
He was all tired.
I had a real memory of me driving here.
That's funny. What, y'all over there, drums or flats? Ladies. Drums or flats?
Breast? What?
All right, he said breast. Okay, I'm gonna go with thighs then. I like some thighs. I really do like thighs. Thighs are awesome. All right, cool. Thighs and flats.
Good Americans.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Just lighthearted stuff to get the conversation going. But yeah, Bank on it season 2, man. Episode 1. We're talking about money. Money. What's that song? What is that song called? Money. Yeah, there's so many. Oh, Jesus. Okay, we gotta fuck up some commas. I mean,
Classic.
Classic. Like, that's a Stroll song. Like, that ass. But anyways, yeah. Let's start off with introductions. So let's go to my right. My man's over here. Black is king. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Let's start it off, man. Start it off. Who we talking to?
Yeah, so how y'all doing? Carrot King. Just turned 30 not too long ago.
Ooh. So we gotta refill these.
Yes.
Yes, these need to be on tap. Just came back from Egypt last week.
Nice.
So it's been a great year.
Did you get answers to my questions about the pyramids?
Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And if we can.
Yeah. That's something.
It's very interesting how people try to rewrite history.
Yeah.
But so.
We have theories about how the pyramids were built.
But I mean, I don't know if they want to know about like work and all this other stuff. But
Well, same as last time. You said you could only share so much. So I want you.
I'm not gonna know how much I make.
Right.
I'm not doing all that. But I work as a senior product owner at a company. I'm not gonna say who that is, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
This gets blown up and all of a sudden.
Right.
But that's all I have. So.
Good stuff. All right.
So my name is Julius Holmes. I own a consulting company. I do like technical writing and technical training for companies. So, companies essentially hire me to create their learning documentation, whether that's videos or live facilitation or like written instructional documents, stuff like that. I'm new to Atlanta. Just got here about 10 months ago. And and I'll pass with that.
Lovely. Next.
Vanessa Holmes. I work in information security at a bank. Not gonna say the name either, just in case. Keep it under wraps.
CYA, man.
But I also run a fashion consulting business where I help the fashion designers scale their businesses as well as teaching them how to work with their money. A lot of creatives, they know how to make their products, but not necessarily how to manage that money, how to hire, how to be a people person. And I'm that person for them.
Love to hear it. Love it. Well, welcome. I'm going to talk about money. Now, we all know that money is...
It's a complicated relationship.
Yeah. That. It truly is, and that's kind of what I want to touch on in this conversation is let's talk about our relationship with money, right? We're going to get into that later. But at the top, let's start off with the accounts. If you don't mind sharing, who do you bank with as a personal consumer?
Who started? Me?
Yeah, let's start with this
Okay,
side.
so my money is in several places.
All right, as it should be.
But so I do bank with Chase. I do bank with Discover. I do bank with Greenwood.
Nice.
Got my card.
There we go.
Greenwood.
Yes.
Also bank with Nuvo for my business.
Nice.
I also have a credit union that I got my first car loan with. So I'm looking to actually sunset that and transfer that money that I get in through that my federal credit union into my Greenwood account. So I'm gonna eventually not close it, but kind of leave it to the side and leave it dormant.
Yeah.
So I can kind of transition to fully being with Greenwood. I just got that card like a month ago. So
We'll talk about switching over soon. Yes.
And then if expand it more, it's not just about like the money.
Trading portfolios, life insurance, all of that's counted.
So
what you got?
Life insurance, I have 401k. I have with Fidelity. I also have with Vanguard. I have several over the few years. I say like over almost coming up on 8. Well, is 8 years of me like corporate working.
Yeah.
So I have a few.
Okay, I got money. He got money. Yeah.
Just under 50,000.
Right.
About all you get.
Right. There you go. Got it.
But yeah, and then I also bank with Wells Fargo because Wells Fargo holds the loan for the car that I purchased last year.
Boo.
And then technically we bank with Chase again because of the house we own. So
The mortgage loan.
If you think about it, you bank with more people
Absolutely.
in different ways
Than you think. Yeah.
Ordinary, like, oh, what's in my pocket? Like, what's
That's
my card? So
the whole point of this convo.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Good. And we're all homeowners over here, right? As well.
No, we're not all homeowners. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. No.
We
we're getting there.
when we transitioned during COVID, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, y'all did transition through COVID.
Yeah.
Trying to get a house
Sheesh.
during COVID, it was nearly impossible being bid by these large companies that can go 40, 50, 60K above.
Zillow
and we're like,
was
You hear that, Zillow?
Zillow.
Open door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were,
Places.
yeah.
yeah, it took us 2 years to transition, and we were just like, we gotta get out of Philly, so we just gotta do what we have to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Welcome to Atlanta.
thank you.
Traffic sucks here.
Well, we work remote, so we don't really have to
There you go.
thing.
And we used to work in Delaware, so we know traffic
Oh, good.
from Philly to Delaware.
Yep. Well, we got lemon pepper wings. What else we got? Strip club.
All great things.
Hookah is everywhere.
Hookah everywhere.
You can go to the dollar store and get a hookah.
Yeah.
You go to the bar. No, like literally, you can go to the barbershop and have a
Brunch.
Yeah, brunch.
We don't go to brunch. We don't go to brunch.
We do brunch. Yeah,
Also
that's the
picked up
thing.
on that.
With hookah.
With hookah.
With
Must,
hookah.
necessary.
It's a requirement. I'm tired of it at this point.
Yeah.
But yes.
So we're gonna answer that question together since
Sure.
we're a couple.
Absolutely.
So we do have we bank with different people as well. Our credit cards are with Wells Fargo's. I think it's one of the first one. You know, they get you straight out of college.
Yeah,
so.
they do.
In college.
They get you in college. Oh,
Yeah.
come here, baby. So our credit cards are there. We have investment accounts with Vanguard as well as JP Morgan. We also do foreign currency accounts with TIA Bank. And then our everyday money spending is with a federal credit union because we find that as far as, because sometimes, your money is in your savings, but you got to transfer over to your checking. And, with the bigger banks, if that happened, those fees are crazy, right?
Yes.
With credit unions, it's just,
International fees too.
yeah, really, really good. What else do we have? We have life insurance. I don't remember who they're
I
with.
think that's it, pretty much.
What else?
Probably
do we
have 401ks with
Yeah,
Fidelity as well, but I think
Fidelity and a numerous amount of people.
I think you're pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Credit cards?
Yes.
Anywhere?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Discover, Amex.
Well, Wells Fargo. We're actually on a journey right now to pay off our credit card debt. Will be done by January. So
That's wonderful.
yes.
That's wonderful. Lovely. So I'm similar to Carrick in terms of transitioning into the black banking space. So my accounts are kind of sprawled out right now. But I have built a system right now, a personal finance system that is pretty rigid. So it enables me to put my money in so many different places, but I need to consolidate. So I'm going to get into that. I'll start off from high school. I've been with Chase since high school. I opened up a high school checking account, joint with my mom's, and then
Is that your idea or your mom's?
my mom got me an account. Yeah. Yeah, shout out to my, honestly, and we're gonna touch on that. Just the power of just simple generational habits of money. So, but yes, My mom opened that account for me. Had a joint account with her. When I got into college, I converted it to a Chase college account. Didn't have to pay the monthly fee, all that stuff. And then I ended up getting my own account, a new account that was on my own, wasn't connected to my mom. So now I have 2 Chase accounts. I call one of them Junior Chase, which is the one I've had since high school, and then the Senior Chase is like mine. So that's like the mature account. And everything else, it just started piling on from there. So I got Discover, my first credit card. I got a Best Buy Citibank credit card, so I can use it anywhere, but it's through Best Buy. And you already know what I feel about Citibank, so they got me early. Then I got a Chase Freedom credit card. I thought I was doing something because I learned about balance transfers and that you can transfer a balance from one credit card to another, help pay off. So I opened up the Chase account just to pay off the other 2. I opened them when I was like 21, and I was very, very reckless with my spending, so had to learn quickly. After that, I got a number of different things. I started to get into the black bank space. I opened up an account with One United, largest online black-owned bank in the country. I have a savings account with Acorns. If you don't know what Acorns is, it is basically a high-yielding savings account that you can. It does things called roundups. So it taps into your checking, and say I make 5 transactions today, it's going to round up those dollar amounts to the nearest dollar.
Nice.
Invest those cents into my Acorns account. So much faster than like a 0.01 0.001 interest at a traditional savings account at any bank, right? You're literally losing money because of inflation. But anyways, we're gonna get into that too. Plenty of things to get into.
Oh, I missed one. Betterment. I also use Betterment.
What is that?
Betterment is an online banking platform. They also provide checking, savings, high yield savings. They provide emergency funds. Like you can fix your bank account to be any type of bank account. So whether that's high yield savings, customizing against like, is it backed by like the Federal Reserve or is it backed by stocks and bonds and things like that. So you can kind of mix and match it and play with it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. No, that's really cool. Kind of reminds you of Novo because you can switch things around too in Novo as well. So speaking of that, going into my business accounts, I have business accounts for both of my LLCs. One of them is a credit union. The other one is Novo Bank. It's a digital business banking platform. I have Acorns. I use my Cash App card. I just use that as my gas card. So I put all my gas money on there. And it also has a roundup feature. So I do that, and they invest directly into Bitcoin. That brings me into the crypto space.
Yes.
So I have a Coinbase debit card that I just got. And then when you use Coinbase debit card, it rounds those up as well into crypto. Coinbase is a crypto currency trading platform. So I have my money in a lot of different places on top of my 401k, which is also at Fidelity. I have life insurance with Lafayette Financial, Black-owned credit card, Citizens Trust Bank. I have Amex credit cards for both of my businesses. You see how it piles on? I have a lot of shit going on. And so, like I said, I'm transitioning and trying to consolidate certain things because that's a lot. That's like 10 accounts.
And more.
Yeah, it's probably more. It's probably more. And like, it sounds cool, but it's a lot to manage, right? And like, on one hand, you want your money to be working everywhere. That's one point I do want to drive home today is you want your money to be working everywhere because if money's not moving, it's losing.
Right.
Straight up. If it's not moving, it's losing. So you want your money to be doing stuff. Yeah, I don't really have a savings account. I don't really think savings accounts make sense unless it's like I treat investments accounts as savings accounts.
So
like that's my savings.
Sorry to interrupt your wisdom.
No, go ahead.
Why is that? I think isn't liquidity still a thing? Like you want to be as liquid because I know like if you have an emergency and you're trying to dip into your investment account, it's gonna take 3 to 5 business days for it to like convert to the way you want. So, do you not have issues with the liquidity of attaining the cash when you need it?
So here's my tactic. it's a great segue into how I spend my money. I try to spend majority of my money via credit. So even emergencies, I will immediately put it on credit. I'll process the withdrawal from my savings account, which will come later to pay back my credit card balance. But with credit, I can access my money immediately.
Right.
So if I have a car emergency, I've got a number of different credit cards to choose from. Boom, done. Problem solved. 3 days later, I go on my app, withdraw that money, and I just paid on my balance.
Okay,
So that way I'm not rushed to be like, oh shit, I got to access my savings account. I pull out any one of my 5 credit cards and I'm Gucci. So that's how I spend my money.
Yeah.
Through credit, and I pay myself back so that I can pay my balance down.
So liquidity, at least for me, like that is a good system, but I think being able to, in the event that like you lose your job or something like that, it's good to have. They say it's good to have at least 3 to 6 months of savings.
Right.
And there are certain things like your mortgage you can't pay with a credit card, as far as I know. You can't pay certain bills with credit cards. So having cash available in an account that can kind of give you relief.
Yeah.
That's the emergency situation where
That's true.
credit may not be as good of a thing for you. Like if you have a flat tire, boom, credit card.
Yeah.
If you're stranded somewhere, boom, credit card.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hell, you have to go to a hospital. Maybe they might take a credit card or something like that.
Yeah,
But
they do.
urgent care, but when you have, I can't pay my mortgage. You give them a credit card, they're gonna throw it back at you.
It's probably going to be, I'm pretty sure I can pay mine with a
Or they're
credit
gonna
card, but it's
do
the convenience fee and they add more
convenience fee
fees
and
on it.
it's,
Yeah.
You know, so that's the only scenario where I think like having
That's true.
cash put aside.
So you believe in having a rainy day fund account? That's just cash sitting
Shit
there?
hits the fan. Like,
Yeah.
That's literally what it's about.
So I think I was traveling and none of my credit cards. I was in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Nothing was working.
Wow.
So then I went to a Bank of America, and my card was getting declined, and I was able to still withdraw money from my debit card because I had the availability. Like none of my, I don't know what was happening. Something weird was happening.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, for me, liquidity is very important because it's like, what if I keep putting it into the credit card, right? If it keeps expanding, I can't pay this anymore, right? So for me, liquidity, meaning cash,
Yes.
a certain amount of goal of cash that we've set, that's very important. Another account we did miss was our HSA account, right?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Health savings?
Yeah, health savings. It's
Gotcha.
really important.
Gotcha.
I mean, your everyday, whatever, you need ibuprofen. It's good for that, but it's also another type of retirement savings
Interesting.
that a lot of people are not aware. You don't lose it. It rolls over. You leave your job. It's
Kaiser
your
have
money.
that?
Huh? Say it again.
Does Kaiser have that? Because I have Kaiser. So I don't think Kaiser has that option of, because when I was choosing my healthcare plans, I was investigating what those were and HSAs, and like we were choosing between, they had Blue Cross Blue Shield, Anthem, and then Kaiser. I went with Kaiser mainly because everything's all in one place,
Yeah.
and it was the price was just better for what I was getting, and then understanding that I'm in good health, I'm under 30, I have no like pre-existing health conditions. I don't have like asthma or diabetes. Or anything. Not yet, at least. Diabetes runs in my family, but
Caribbean.
right. So, but yeah, so there were a number of reasons why I chose Kaiser, but I don't have a HSA. I pay my health expenses on my Chase credit card,
So transparency.
so that I get my cash back.
Transparency moment. Like we decided to get an HSA sometime last year because we realized we don't go to doctors that much, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And with any medical plan, like the preventative stuff is covered.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Your normal doctor. I think we pay about $10. We do have a high deductible, like $2,000 deductible,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But we pay like $10 every couple of paychecks for our health insurance, and and then just put money in the HSA, and it grows and grows and grows, and they my employer, they match it up. I don't remember how much they match it, but it also is invested into the markets, right? So your money is growing, and once you get to a certain age, and I don't remember what the age is, you can use it as freely as you want, just like any other retirement account. So I think it's a good idea if you are in good health, you don't have any pre-existing. It's a thought, like I mean, if you have a broken arm, that's this is gonna be a different conversation. But then you can use your HSA account that already has a $2,000 deductible to pay for that broken arm.
Having to do, not to get too personal, but having to deal with medical hospital stuff.
Yeah.
Not me, but a person that I'm close with.
Right.
Those, you go to the hospital, you pay a copay, it's $250. You go to the emergency room, it's $250. You're like, all right, whatever. Pay that right there. Here's the problem. From every moment after that, they are sending you a bill like every week, and it is terrifying. Like, and it's small, but for it adds up. So it's like you get a bill for $30, and then you get another bill for $100, and then you get another, and you pay it. And it's like, but then there's also this bill, and there's also this bill. And I think it's because in the hospitals, especially when you go to the emergency room, as they're doing triage and trying to figure out what's wrong with you, and then once they figure out what's wrong with you, they also have to treat it. You go through so many different departments.
Everyone's trying to get their money.
So every department,
radiology, MRI,
and it's scary because these bills are coming from the hospital, but they're coming from these different departments. So sometimes you can't even really tell if it's even a real bill or not. So you have to call, and every department in the hospital is almost treating it as their own pillar of a business.
Correct.
You'll get
and that's one benefit of Kaiser. Though that's one benefit is like everything is in one place. So like all of my shit comes from Kaiser, except for like I'm on medication right now that comes from a pharmacy in Duluth, and it's like $50. I can pay over the phone. Kaiser referred me there, so like I know that Kaiser knows that they know that they're like everyone knows that they're legit, right? So this isn't some place in the cut where like they're gonna charge me a random bill that doesn't apply to me. So like that's beneficial. That was one of the reasons why I didn't like because I used to be on my mom's plan under Aetna, and like it was just I had to go everywhere. I had to go this place to do that, and then I was like, yo. And that like Kaiser's like you just have to worry about one thing: are they in network? Or are they not in network? Like that's basically it. They have their own pharmacy, emergency room. Like I got my procedure done last year. Went to Kaiser, so like it's easy. And I do want to investigate though that HSA thing though.
Yeah.
Support black. Vaughn, zoom in. Support black businesses. All right.
We haven't had banking conversation with that. Family. Our money. Your money's going this way. My money's going this way. How about we just cultivate it over here?
Right. We say now Carrick is good. He's good. Can we pick up an electronic device, Bluetooth headphones, social media? There's a black electric car company startup. When we strategize, we mobilize. Easy, right? We do it. we laid out the plan. No. I had a dream. Just do the thing. How about that? Just do the thing. Just bank on it. Be black, blessed, and beautiful, man. For real. But let's clap it up for ourselves, man. Let's clap it up for ourselves. Woo! All right, Nat.
We back, y'all.
Yeah.
We back from the break. We got refills too. Look at that.
Hey, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Hey. Clang, clang, clang. Here we go. All right. So yeah, just pushing back a little bit on what you mentioned of liquidity. There's probably just a habitual thing with me is that I'm very supportive of using OPM, other people's money, which is why tend to use my credit cards before anything else. Even if I tap into my high yielding savings account, my Acorns account, I don't use it to make the expenditure, to make the expense. I'll use my credit cards because regardless, I get the cash back, I get the benefits, and then it's instantly available unless I'm in Mexico and I need, if international, right? That's a good point. I guess it's probably how my personal finance profile is set up right now. It works for me.
All of I have a credit card dedicated to just healthcare expenses. And again, I pay it with my paycheck, like my money that's in my account that I kind of set aside in case I have it. But I mean, in case I need to spend it, but the actual expense comes from that card.
Right.
And then I just pay the card down.
Which is, go ahead.
So let's talk about the flow of that. So when you have an HSA, the money that you put towards it,
Yep.
it's coming from two places. One from your employer because they match up to a certain point, like you said. Like if you do like a physical, they'll give you $200 for just doing a physical.
Right.
You put it right into your HSA. The money that you're contributing comes out pre-tax.
Yep.
So before the government takes money out of your thing, out of your paycheck, it'll go to your HSA, and what the government is looking at in terms of how much you get paid is now lower. So you're saving money on that front. Doing it the way that you're doing it, you're paying for things after. They've hit you with taxes.
Yeah.
And then paying taxes on it again.
Yeah.
For when you buy the thing, and then paying interest on it again when you pay
when
for
you
it with your credit
pay
card.
it off. Yeah.
You see
That's
what
true.
I'm saying? So
That's
at least
valid.
and that works for health.
Yeah.
Like health is where you can kind of have that flow, and it makes more sense. That's why HSA is so great. But for like other expenses, it may not work that way. Like it doesn't. For other categories of things that happen, it may not be advantageous. But even with like travel, travel, if you have a travel card,
absolutely easy. Yeah.
all my flights are going on my credit card because I know eventually I'm going to get that money back in points, and then I can use that to buy other things. Another plane ticket, an iPad, something else I don't need.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
And then and even like the business credit card specifically, right? Because I'm going to Toronto in a week.
Hello.
I put that on my business credit card because now that's when we're speaking of, at this point we're talking about tips and tricks, right? So like putting certain things on your business card, now you not only have the credit points, the rewards points, you also can write those off.
Right.
So like now it's a business trip because I'm going from Friday to Monday. So that's the golden rule, is if you can wrap up an entire weekend and write that off if you're there from Friday to Monday. I'm actually going from Thursday to Monday. So I'll definitely be there Friday to Monday, get some business done. I'm actually having a family business meeting, and we're going to talk.
That entire trip is done here free.
Yeah. Like seriously. And that's literally, that's one of the many sectors. So if we were to identify kind of like the different columns, right? We have credit as a way to grow your money because you have cash back and Sky Miles and things like that. You have HSAs that can invest in the market and to serve as a reservoir for taking care of healthcare expenses. We got taxes. You have tax write-offs and things like that. And what is the fourth one that we could think of? Because I'm pretty sure we touched on. Oh, of course, life insurance. That counts.
Did you say investment?
Yeah, investment portfolios. Investment, and I treat investments, cash investment portfolios and crypto investments separately because those are two different markets, right? I mean, the crypto realm is completely different than Apple and Amazon and Walmart, right? So I treat those separately. So for me, it's probably like 5 or 6 different lanes that you can put your money into: credit, HSAs, taxes, investments, crypto, life insurance.
Well, I'd like to toss out there for others, because it's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Right. So, inflation is going up. As of now, the U.S. dollar is a reserve currency. There's a lot of information out there saying the U.S. dollar will not remain the reserve currency over the next number of decades and stuff like that. Right. Major implications about that. So for me, crypto is really important. Buy like precious metals, whether that's silver or gold, foreign currencies, right? Investing in the empire that's moving up, that's looking to replace the United States, which is China. The Chinese yuan. You know what I mean? So I'm like a major proponent of saying yes, have your dollars, have your accounts, all that stuff. But I strongly recommend, and it's something that's been really powerful for us, to also diversify your storehouses of wealth, not just in the U.S. dollar. There has to do whatever you want, but I think you got to have money. And you got silver? Do you have gold? Do you have foreign currencies? Do you have crypto? It can't just be in the U.S.
So
dollar.
how do you invest in precious metals?
So you can do that a couple ways. So one, like TIAA Bank, which is where we have our foreign currency account, where we buy Chinese yuan, right?
Gotcha.
You can get silver. You can buy silver or gold through them, and they'll hold it for you. Now, there's a minimum. It's like a 5,000 minimum for silver and 7,000 minimum for gold. Right. Or you can just buy it from like eBay or some shit like that. You can buy like silver, like 1 ounce.
Buy
of
silver off eBay?
Yeah, you can buy like 1 ounce of silver off eBay. You can go to like a precious metal, like you see pawn shops around.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Because the thing is, like the U.S. dollar used to be backed by gold, right? The gold standard. So it's just like this is just pretend money. Gold is the real money, right? And then in the 70s, they removed they took precious metals from. The U.S. dollar is no longer backed from the hard currencies. It's just paper money, right? So it's good to remember that like the value of money is just in your head. But really, silver has been valuable for thousands of years since the beginning of human civilization. Gold as well, like you know what I mean. So it's just copper. Like always been valuable compared to U.S. dollars. Only been valuable for like 200 years. And, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to go on and on about this, but I'm just saying I would strongly recommend diversifying your.
No, like that's why I'm just gonna ask you more questions.
Can't
like,
just be in U.S. dollars, in my opinion.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that the gold was. Sorry, I knew that U.S. dollars were backed by gold. I just didn't know exactly like when that became not a thing.
Yeah,
back to the
stocks.
70s.
It's stocks
yeah,
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is backing the U.S. dollar?
The stocks.
So no, not stocks.
Stocks?
No, stocks. I'm talking about the gold currency. So that essentially meant like the $1 US was a promise. It was saying like I'm going to give you $1 worth of gold. Okay. And it's easier to carry paper money than it is to carry like a whole bunch of gold in your pocket. Yeah, which is why people did that. And you can also break dollars into smaller amounts than just one gold piece. You know what I'm saying? It's just a promise of value. That's all a dollar was.
It
was a promise of gold. Like if I gave you $100, I promise to give you $100 worth of gold. You can go to the bank and get $100 worth of gold with this, right? So when they've removed the gold standard, the value of the dollar just became the value in and of itself. It's just like $100 is just worth $100, and that's arbitrary because $100 50 years ago isn't going to get you the same shit as now.
Correct, because inflation. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a major thing.
Then comes inflation because.
Exactly. Now you can keep printing money because you don't have to have all the gold in the bank to back that up. You know what I'm saying? So this is just the cycle of like debt and debt and credit cycles. And every single country, every empire that's went up and went down has gone through the exact same cycle. So we're at the end of the cycle around where the U.S. dollar continues to drop value, which is why I say it's super important to have your money invested in other asset classes that are not just the U.S. dollar.
So a lot of people invest in foreign currencies and they don't realize, right? Every time you travel to a different country, you're investing in a foreign currency, right? You're telling, yes,
how so?
You're okay. Let's say you go to Mexico, right? Yep. You give them $1 and they give you, I don't remember the conversion, but I'm gonna make some numbers now.
Yeah.
So $1 US is 3,000 pesos, right?
Okay.
You're looking it up, fact checking. I don't know, imaginary numbers right
just
now.
Google like a conversion calculator.
So you're investing in foreign currency right then and there when you exchange it, right? A lot of times we hold on to our US dollars when we travel because we know that by the time we're done traveling to Mexico, for example, that value is gonna go down, right?
Okay.
So now, by the time you're done, $1 US is 3,200 pesos, right? So now that dollar is not, you're not going to exchange it for as much.
Gotcha.
But if you go to Europe, right?
Yeah.
And you go to the EU, what's it called? The euro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're most likely going to exchange your dollar for the euro because by the time you're done with your trip, you're going to have more dollars.
Is it euros or pounds?
Euros.
So who takes pounds?
British.
Oh, okay.
Because they annexed or whatever they called it. What's it called? What was that big deal?
Brexit.
Brexit.
European universal, they all use it. And you have pounds, you have whatever Germany has.
See, that I did not know. See, I thought I knew some shit about money. I don't. Apparently, that's wild. Because I knew the euro, I knew the peso, pound.
Yeah.
I just didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're investing when you travel to we're investing in that. You take $100 US, you go in.
Yeah, and you exchange it
for euros. Yeah. By the time you get out, most likely that $100 might be $101. Right.
That makes sense. No, that makes
so
sense.
That's the same concept, but now you're doing it like a more transaction basis. You're being intentional about it, right? Of where you want to invest. For us, it's Chinese currency because it is going up. It's still lower than the US dollars. I'm gonna make up some numbers now.
Right. It's 1 to 6.
1 to 6.
Yeah.
But when we started investing, it was like 1 to 8, right?
No, it was still 1 to 6, but it was just like 1 to 6. 0.5, and now it's 106.7. But that's okay, because this is when you want to get into investments. When $1 equals 6 times what you're buying, that's when you want to get in, and because it will reverse at some point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Crypto is the same kind of philosophy.
Yeah,
I agree. I think crypto is riskier to a certain extent, and that's fine. I think it should totally be in your portfolio, but like it's just like I said. I mean, I think it's so important to have other asset classes, because
absolutely.
Like, you're like, oh, what are the value of my investments? I'm like, that's important, but I'm like, well, what's the value of the U.S. dollar though? At the same, because people don't ask that question.
That's facts.
Yeah,
because it takes it a step deeper. Like
Well, what's the value of your dollar right now? Yeah.
I think that also can. What you buy too with that dollar is also kind of tricky, because it's like some people,
like real estate,
instead of banking on the dollar itself, they just bank on the companies that make up the wealth of that nation,
that market. Or
so instead of I forget the book, but I was reading a book about like retiring early, and most people think of that as like, if you just take, it's like the FIRE concept. I think it's like financial independence, retire early. That's the FIRE concept.
Yeah.
And their whole idea is like, you take 75% of what you make and you dump it into the stock market, or like accelerate your 401k to the point where whatever they pay out, so that you don't have to pay taxes on it. So 3% of your portfolio you can pull out per year. And if if you have a big enough pool, that would basically allow you to have, let's say, $80,000. If you have $2 million worth of assets in your portfolio, you take out 3% without having to pay taxes. You're then able to use that 3% to like for the year. So so that means essentially you are paying yourself your own salary for the year, which means you don't have to work anymore. Because if that 3% ends up equaling $100,000, I don't know how much you would have to have is for the pot, but if it ends up being $100,000, all of a sudden you don't need to work, because you already make if you make 80 now and you accelerate all your stuff, and that's the whole point of retiring, is so that you can have enough money for the things that you need once you get to a certain age. And if you can make it so that like you know exactly what's coming out of your account, and you know exactly what bills you have, your mortgage, your car note, your insurance, all the other stuff, and it comes up into this number where it's like, let's say it's $5,000. If that equates to like $60,000 a year, all you technically need to survive is $60,000. If you make $100,000 off of your investments and you don't have to pay taxes on it, you won.
Got a $40,000.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
You win. But some people do that with the American stock market. You can also do it with the other stock markets that are across the world. So some people, instead of doing it in America, because of because of the currency thing, instead of investing in what the actual paper is, they invest in what the companies are. Just like the S&P 500, they just do the Chinese version of whatever the S&P 500 is, because they figure China is going to be the thing. So why invest all of my money in a nation that apparently is going to fall in 100 years or whatever they say? I'll just invest now into China, and then in the event when it blows up, or we have to move, learn Mandarin.
Right.
I learned this shit. All the money.
Damn. That's wild.
And that's the next step for us as well, to go into those international markets when it comes to stocks. The information is not really... It's hard to acquire that information, how to do it.
I was about to say, y'all smart as shit. Because I'm over here like, damn. Let me take out my
Everything
notebook.
I just said, I learned out of a book. And I barely remember
I remembered that. That's really next level.
I didn't know you could do that. Like Canada has their own stock market. Some people, instead of... Just like, I'm going to go buy stocks. Some people go, I'm going to go buy stocks over there.
Over there.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. No, that's wild. So that's different than foreign exchange. Is that different?
It's very similar concept, because if you change it back to US dollars, then you'll have the whatever.
You can also do the foreign exchange.
Right. But I would say it's just a different way of investing. It's
when more of an international stock market.
Yes.
When you're investing in a stock, in a stock or a bond in a country, you're saying, I have faith that this money is going to be worth something in the future.
What are bonds?
Right.
Just so we can...
Like bonds.
What is a bond?
So bonds, which we don't have any, bonds are is a promissory note that a lot of mostly government agencies they give you to say, hey, you let us borrow this money, we're gonna give you back to you at this percentage
With interest.
with interest in X amount of time. You know, sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's 20 years, sometimes it's 30 years. Back in the day, a bond was worth a lot. I know a lot of people.
Like in World War II, World War I, like they were selling war bonds. Like people were so like I guess people were giving money to the United States. I guess.
Right. You're letting them borrow your money.
Borrowing the people's money and then.
I don't know if you guys are young enough or old enough to remember. Do you remember the movie Holes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that entire idea, when he opened it, I watched it a lot. I watch movies a lot.
No, yeah, Holes is good. Those are classic.
At the end, when this is how I learned about bonds, from my understanding of it.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's what that means.
Right.
Like, when he opened the chest of
the treasure, right? The fortune, yeah.
There were papers in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't
there was
cash.
like 10 papers in there that he was like flipping, and it's real and it looks like money, but they were bonds.
They were just bonds.
Bonds from like 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And that interest that they owe, it's a contract. If you take that to whoever you need to take it to, it's almost like a lottery ticket. Like it's like, well, this is $20,000 in from whenever, and they're like, okay, and what was the interest on it? Well, 50 years ago, it was this.
Right,
and it's like they have to do the calculation, and they go, well, this is $1 million.
Yeah.
And you have 10 of them.
10 of those. Yeah.
You have 10 of them. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's
that's wild. Okay. Gotcha. Because I also don't own bonds either, so I was like, it was one of those things where.
Right. If you have a 401k, you do.
Okay.
Yes,
Some
that is
version of
true.
it, because
That is true.
Depending on what portfolio strategy you choose, some of it is, there's an allocation of it, whether it's 30%, 40% into the U.S. bonds and the U.S. real estate market from like a stability standpoint, and then also the stock market.
Right. In your bonds, it will be your country, your state, your city. You can go and get international bonds, but then you're saying, all right, here you go, China. I hope you pay me back. Because any country has the right to not pay you back also.
Really?
Yes.
With a bond?
Yes. They can say, I'm bankrupt. I don't have the money. I don't have to pay you back.
Also, but they have to like declare something first,
right? They have to declare that this is no longer. I mean, I know for Puerto Rico, that was a big thing. It happened in Puerto Rico. What is it considered? A state? What's Puerto Rico? A U.S. territory. U.S. territory. Yep. It happened for Puerto Rico. A lot of people who had bonds in Puerto Rico, they lost that money after that hurricane because they didn't have the cash to pay it back. So there's also that risk. Yeah. But most of the time, you should be good.
I wanted to mention something. You hit on it earlier. The S&P 500. I think for your listeners, for your viewers, I think it's really important to talk about that. Right. The S&P 500 is an index fund. The 500 means like you own a part of the top 500 companies in the United States, right? And you buy that, and now you own a share of the top 500 companies. And it's such a great way to do that because there's multiple investors. Warren Buffett, for example, that says the average investor is never going to be the stock market. You're not going to be able to look here and say and choose winners and just like blow up later on. It's not going to happen, right? 9 times out of 10. The index fund allows you, and if a company loses the rank in there, they get kicked out, and then another company replaces them, right? So like there are multiple people who have like totally changed their financial situation by investing in index funds 5-10 years later. Now it's like boom, because it's consistently beats the market, right? So even when we start talking about 401ks tend to be mutual funds, and they tend to be managed mutual funds. What that means is that there's a whole bunch of fees around that, and it'll be like 1.2, 2.5. You're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But when you compound the fees over time, you can lose like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous, right? I'm sure. Index funds on like Vanguard is not managed. It's just and it's the fees are like 0.2, 0.1%, something like
Stu
that.
has a Vanguard account. He's been telling me to get a Vanguard.
Yeah,
account.
Vanguard is really good advice.
It's really solid. So I would just say, like, as far as just tossing it out there to say, if you really wanted to get involved in investing easy, I would just say, yo, man, like, just buy S&P 500 on the Vanguard and just keep doing that until you figure stuff out and you can expand to other stuff.
Well, that might be intimidating with some people because, like, S&P 500, if you're buying a lot of companies have their own index of what a S&P 500, meaning they, right. So there's like VOOSPY. So what that means,
letters.
Those letters are, what that means is that, Vanguard, for example, Vanguard is investing in those top 500 companies, but then they might have percentage of it, right? So 1% goes to Walmart, 2% goes to Wells Fargo, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's the difference between what the different S&P 500 representations are on the thing, on the stock market. It might be intimidating because those prices are a little high. You're paying like $300+ per share, but you have the option now to do it through Cash App, right? You have the option to do it a little bit through those in other application. I can't think of any of them right now.
Acorns is another one,
right? So
and I think Aspiration Bank is
that $10, that $20, whatever like that you want to put over weekly, it adds up.
Yeah. Those are two things I actually want to dive into was micro investing, which I pride myself in being like an expert micro investor. I'm not. I was never like. I'm not a day trader. I'm not monitoring the crypto market every day. Like it's just too much time for me.
Right.
But micro investing with Acorns and Cash App. The fact that I know that I can fill up my gas tank and I know automatically I know my money's gonna round up to go into somewhere. I know it's gonna go into crypto, and it alerts me. Oh, you just made 1.5%. I'm like, that's cool because it adds up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The 1.5 is gonna add up month to month. I fill up my tank maybe. Depending on what I'm doing that month, maybe 3 to 4 times a month. It depends. And then with Acorns, of course, that's every single transaction. So every time I go, and I can link my Acorns to multiple accounts. So you can compound that. And on top of that, you can have a multiplier. So not only can you multiply how many roundups you do, you can also compound it over different accounts. So say I want to connect 2 accounts. So 2 accounts worth of transactions. I have my bill payment account and then my everyday spending account. Of course, the transactions on the everyday spending are going to be more, right? Because I'm buying stuff every day, lunch and liquor, whatever, right? My bills, they come out, first of the month, 15th, sometimes the 21st-ish around there. So there's really just 3 times out of the month. They're just boom, boom, boom. But every other day, I might need to go grab some orange juice, some cereal. I'm constantly buying stuff. So not only that, I can multiply the amount of roundup. So instead of rounding up to the nearest dollar, I can add a 2 times multiplier or a 5 times multiplier. I do 2 times right now. So now I can multiply that roundup. And so let me see what else I was about to say. I can also adjust my investment portfolio too. So basically, when it finally does round those up, okay, now what is it doing in the investments? Is it I can do moderate, conservative, and aggressive. Right now, I'm moderate. So, I know that not only I can literally fine tune how much I want to micro invest into myself.
Right.
So that stuff I do know. I don't know about all this other shit y'all talking about. I definitely received the information, right? And I'm glad the users can digest this. So those are the 2 things I wanted to go into was micro investing and then moving the conversation along to talk about financial habits. Just financial habits, like generational financial habits. So I'll start with, I want to go down the line and ask, what are some financial habits that you have today, that you practice today, that you got from your parents?
Well, it's a double-edged sword because you get it from a positive way and from seeing the mistakes of the people that raised you. So I was raised with a mom that came to this country. She was just trying to do the best she could. She didn't really have enough time to be financially sound outside of making sure that my son eats and has a place to stay. That was her version of being financially sound.
Right.
Is your belly full? Are you not sleeping outside?
Yeah.
We're doing well financially,
Yeah.
right? That's all she had time for. So some of the habits that she picked up along the way with credit cards and things like that, I saw, and I was able to say well, when I get older, I'm not gonna have X, Y, Z. When I get older, I'm gonna pay all my bills on time.
Yeah.
When I get older, I'm gonna make sure I do. So and it's not you. Whether you know you're teaching or not, you're teaching.
Right.
And so
I
think, but then also from her it was more so about I'm in this situation, I'm gonna make sure my son is not in the situation.
Yeah.
So that's when it becomes you're 16 years old. She was always thinking about my credit. It's a big deal for her. She was 16, let's go get you a bank account. let's go make sure that we can start building something. I'm gonna put you as a authorized user on one of my credit cards.
Yeah.
I ain't giving you a credit card.
Right.
I'm just putting your name on it.
Putting your name on it.
You don't even
You can
know.
do all the benefits. Yeah, you get all the benefits from hers.
My aunt has been a banker for like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
She did that for her son as well, who's in college, and she was just like, he's been an authorized user since he was like 14. He doesn't know.
Oh, I know he in the
has
800s.
He got to be no idea because he didn't. It's not like, and I think that's kind of I don't know if it's not necessarily a mistake, but it's a difference between like being black and like being, I guess,
affluent.
white with an affluent. Yeah. Because
social
you do
class.
that and you get an allowance and you get the card.
Yes.
You get daddy's card to go buy whatever you want.
Yes.
Like you can
and you're already on his trust.
Yeah, and all the other stuff.
You
So
probably
it's like,
inherit his family business. Like, there's so many other variables that we probably more than likely didn't
the other
have.
way too, because then you don't know the value of money from the other side. Like we don't know the value of money because we're in terms of like spending it because we're trying to get things that we're very consumer based.
Yeah.
They don't know the value of money because their money don't run out. So they just like money is just a thing. Yes, I'm going to spend $10,000 on this bag because it's $10,000. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that, and then also getting it from just kind of understanding family dynamics in terms of like houses and how long you keep your houses and making sure that you have savings and all of these different things is those are not necessarily things I've learned from them, like by them telling me, but just by watching some of the stuff that they didn't do.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that's a good thing too. Like it's not shade or anything like that. Like you learn when you look back on your childhood as you get older. Like some of that's like for me, some of the stuff is like it's because you weren't able to because of how hard it was.
Yeah.
It's hard for me and I don't have any children.
Yeah.
So I can imagine how difficult it was for a 5-year-old running around.
No, facts.
You know?
Right.
So yeah. How about you guys?
I think for me, my dad definitely taught me to take a high degree of ownership over my career from the jump. Like it was always like you never work for anybody, you always work for yourself, always. So whatever like I had to finagle or figure out or do this or do that, it was always about how can I use the situation to be as advantageous to me as possible. And I think that really translated into money, into income, because it wasn't about doing it the traditional way. It was acknowledging doing it outside of tradition is a faster, more effective way to be successful from my experience. I think maybe on the quote unquote negative side, it was just that like I think there was a lot of maybe survival mode or kind of like now type things. So there wasn't so much like future stuff. It was like, yeah, exactly. It was more like now, and that's okay. But then when we got married, it was like oh yeah, no, we got it ball out. We fine next week. You know what I mean? And I had to kind of learn like no, save and keep it there, and no, pay down debts and don't use that again, and so on and so forth.
Balance.
Like exactly.
Your threshold may increase. Right, you may have a bigger threshold as far as we can spend money today and not worry about not dying tomorrow, right?
Right.
But you still got to be smart.
Right.
All right, you still got to be smart. No.
It's a privilege of of the affluent to think about the future. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's the bar.
Yeah,
the bar.
And if you're not there, then it's like today and tomorrow.
Is there a sound for that?
No, I got something. Nope, that's not it. Let's get the crowd. He gets the chance. Absolutely. We back. From the break. Hey, from the break. Hey, from the break. First of all, redefining money as means. It's not always dollars, right? That's what we're gonna dive into when we talk about monetization. And then I want to continue this sharing of what was a valuable financial paradigm rule that you live by today that you got from your parents.
So I immigrated to the United States about 20 years ago. I got here at the age of 12. One thing is when I lived in Haiti was that we traveled. We went to vacation, Panama, United States. We were balling, right? We come to the United States and my parents were starting from scratch. But one of the biggest thing is we lived off my parents' savings for 4 years.
Wow.
4 years of living off their savings. They bought a house. They were able to do, everything they needed to do while, my parents started over. My mom was working at, do you guys have ShopRites down here?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a grocery store. It's a grocery store. It's a Pathmark, a Publix. That would be the Publix.
Oh, nice.
So she was working there. My dad was a mechanic. We started from. They weren't making money to pay for their mortgage, but until they could get to the next level, they were able to do that. And for me, that's why cash reserve is important to me. Right? Because they were able to have a cash reserve, and whatever credit cards, whatever they had in Haiti, no longer mattered in the United States, right? But they had the cash, they had the liquidity to do what they need to do. The second thing
I
is...
still believe cash is king. That's
right.
That's just me, but go ahead.
The second thing is I was an authorized user on the credit cards, which helped my credit score exponentially when I left the house. You know, I was able to dive right into my adult life without any issues. I was able to get the loans that I needed for my everyday life. So that was the biggest thing. The third thing is I balanced the checkbook in my parents' household. So I paid from the age of 12 until I left the house. I paid all the bills, not my money, their money.
She still pays all the bills.
I still pay all the bills.
She still does that. I don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I made sure it was paid on time. You know, back in the day when you cut a check before online banking, I did that. I told them how much they had for that weekend. If they didn't have money, if we're running low, what can we spend on groceries?
Wonderful.
So that was very important. That was the biggest thing because those are the responsibilities that you can give your children and still supervise them on that, right? Because they know how to add.
Personal finance skills. Very basic that translate to life.
Right. They know how to add. They know how to write.
Yeah.
Just give them, I mean, I don't know how you would do it now, but, you know, have them, you know, log in and pay that bill on time, you know, and that's a skill that is going to be
There's
good.
children bank accounts. My sister has bank accounts for all 4 of her sons.
Right,
I forgot what it was called.
But do they have transparency into her account? And that's one thing, too. My parents have always been transparent about their financial things, right? They tell me if they're having issues, right? You know, now they're good, right? But then they would tell me if they're having issues. We'll have family meetings where I could input into... like, all right, well, we have X amount of money. Where do you want to go on vacation? You know? Like, where do you want to do this? Where do you want to do that? Well, it might just be the Jersey Shore because that's all we can afford. Yeah. But what hotel do you think you can, you know, I had input. I had input about immigrating to the United States, you know, like, and that's the thing, like empowerment. I always felt empowered by my parents. The downside of that is I do feel like I knew too much at a young age. I had too much responsibility, you know? Like, it made me a better adult, but certain things I wish I didn't know, you know, at such an early age. But it's balancing it.
Yeah, I just knew that we were poor. It was very apparent that we were living an immigrant experience, Jamaican immigrant experience in New York, and just hustling. It was our entire family just constantly hustling. Yeah. And it's, again, it depends on how you look at it. It's like when I have to go to my mom to a nursing training course at a Big Apple in the Bronx because there's no one to watch me. Like, that stuff sticks. Yeah. Right. And I remember, I'm like, okay, it gives me, I don't have an excuse. Like, my mom had up to 3 jobs at one point. Like, there were times where I didn't see her for several days, not because she was out, but it was because she worked 12 to 12, stayed at an old lady's house from 7 to in the morning and went right back to work. Like, and there's just this cycle of just trying to make sure, again, not to build your stock portfolio,
to survive.
401k, not
to survive, bro.
I have a kid,
and a lot of times they can't even invest in that 401k because they don't have the liquidity, like that extra $50, $100, however much. That's food, that's a bill, that's that's something. You know, and I think we can be more forgiving to our parents for those things because I think of this all the time. When we immigrated here, my dad used to clean a bank. Now work at a bank as a higher up, you know, like, and I used to go with him at night because I was little.
Banking services coming soon.
I used to go with him at night with my little brother, and I had to be in that car. Winter, summer, I'm in that car doing my homework while he's cleaning the bank. So it's like full circle.
Yeah, we would stay. Speaking of immigrant parents, right? We would hang out. Me and my siblings would hang out Grady Hospital when my mom used to work at Grady. And there's a McDonald's there. You probably heard of the Shady McGrady, right? The McDonald's, we would hang out in her van, just parked on the street. I didn't have
homeless people.
Yeah, all the homeless people. We would interact with them sometimes. Other times we would run away and they'd knock at the door or whatever, the door of the van. We just chilling, taking naps, just waiting for mom to get off work. And then she switched to night shift. She's been working nights since then, honestly. So when I was in high school, I also wouldn't see my mom for several days throughout the week because I'm gone out the house by like 6:30, 7 o'clock to get to school. She doesn't come home until maybe 9 a.m. I come home around 6:30, 7 p.m. that same day because extracurriculars. I was like a golden boy in high school. Athletics, I'm doing everything. So I'm not coming home till like 8 p.m. She's already
gone
at work.
Yeah, 7 to 7.
So I literally will not see my mom until maybe the weekend when we are at church. Like, and she'll work Friday night. So she'll come home 9 a.m., shower, get dressed, go to church. We'll just go to church together. And she'll be falling asleep in the pew, waking up. And then, you know, when I got old enough to drive, my brother was old enough to drive, we would drive her to church because she was just too tired. She's up for like 24 hours.
Sounds like we've had similar experiences.
No, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The Caribbean.
You know?
It never fails.
It never fails.
Yeah, you gotta hustle. You really gotta hustle.
Throughout all of that, financial habit that I have that I got from my parents or my mother, because I didn't get shit from my dad, was having your money in multiple places. That was because remember when I just talked to you about my 15,000 accounts? Like that's that habit coming out, right?
I counted more than 15,000.
In one, right? And like, granted, I know that I have some consolidation to do, but that's where the habit comes from. The fact that I do have my money in so many different places and I know how to manage it. Back in the day, my mom, you know, when cash was still a thing, credit cards weren't as apparent. We definitely didn't have Apple Pay back then. She would literally have cash just sitting under her bathroom counter, just sitting there. She had a wad of 20s sitting in an envelope as spare gas money sitting in a drawer by her bedside. She had money in her savings account. She had money in her checkings account. And then there was I discovered another location she had cash where she kept like all of our passports and our green card. I didn't have a green card. Her green card, registration number, whatever. I was the first American born in my family. So I was like the first U.S. citizen. So I didn't have to go through any of that egregious process that my siblings had to do. They're Canadian born. My mom is Jamaican and Canadian citizen. Like it's a bunch of shit. So like that was definitely a habit. It was having your money in different places. Like, and then the micro investing comes from her too, because anytime she would have a $1 bill or a $5, she puts it away. Anytime she gets change, she puts it away. She has a big ass jar of change every year. Cash it in.
Nice.
That's where I got those habits from. Now what translates, because we have digital banking now, I just do all those roundups. That's where I get that from. So I like stuff that I see now. I fucks with that because that translates from when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to like 18. That's what that translates to now.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I actually think it's interesting because, you know, one thing my dad told me, which was a very valid point, he was like, hey, you know, my parents were raised in the Great Depression. Like, that's when they came up. Wow, so the money skills that we learned from our parents, my dad talking about his parents, were skill sets his parents learned in the Great Depression, which was very, like, you got to hold on, you got to survive type thing, right? And so, like, kind of aspects of that financial acumen is what we inherited, right? But that skill set is not that's not thriving money skill sets. That's surviving money skill sets. And so even, you know, for us and for me, it's just like this sense of unlearning and relearning how you're going to go to the next level, because as hard as our parents worked, as hard as my parents worked, that they didn't have the experience to teach me the skill set to go to the next level, which is what we're learning about now. You know what I mean? So like, I always thought that was very interesting.
That's what's very important, because I'm gonna let you speak. I think you're about to speak, Vanessa. AJ actually said this on our season finale. He said something that blew my fucking mind, and he said, I'm gonna pull this up so I can make sure I said it right. He was like, parents will be on this earth for 80 to 90 years. And then when they pass away, there's nothing to pass down to their children. So he's specifically talking about parents of color, immigrant parents, black, whatever, right? Due to the fact that there's such a survival mindset, it's like it's shocking to see that a lot of families where you're working for 80 years. Like 80 years. My mom's still working. She's in her 60s.
So it's just like he was just trying to bring in conceptualizing how hard it is to like the simple concept of the American dream that we struggle so hard to participate in because we're in such a survival mode. And thinking of my mom right now, if she were to, God forbid, leave this earth tomorrow, I'm trying to think of what she can actually pass down to us. Like, what does she have that she can pass down besides her house? Many families don't even have houses in them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
they don't keep it either.
They can't.
You can't keep it.
Foreclosed. The car got repoed. Like, think about, we're all privileged right now.
Right.
We're sitting in your house.
We're rich. We rich.
Like, we're all privileged right now, but there are people who are just like us who are also Jamaican or Haitian or of Nigerian descent or other Afro-American descent, and they're living in Section 8 housing, or they're living in other places where like a house. What? We have this box, and that's
right.
it. And they're just working, literally working themselves to death, and like it's sad. Like they'll work for 80 years and still have nothing to pass down to their kids. Like,
so my question is to all of you, right? We always talk about what our parents are leaving for us, right? But now that we know these things, are we teaching our parents these things? Are we bringing them
that's
up?
That's a tough one. That's
to it?
That's tough.
Like, for example,
we did.
right?
We talked about it.
You talked about it before. Well, I would like to know because for me, it was important to tell my parents, hey, this is simple. Open this Vanguard account, and I sat down and I did it with them, right? And then I gave them tips. Now they call me all the time. Vanessa, I saw this. I'm like, Dad, like, I don't know. Do you want to do it? I don't know what to tell you, you know, but like, are we teaching them how, like these knowledges that we're gaining so that we can be secured also in the future?
I'll share. I'm going to share and I'm going to let Sherrick share.
Yeah.
So there's a story that, I don't think I shared this in the last episode. So my mother, bless her heart, we had a nice house in Villa Rica, Georgia. That's like I-20 West headed to Alabama.
Okay.
Interstate 20. It goes east-west. East Coast takes you all the way into Turner Field area, Atlanta. West takes you all the way to Alabama and beyond. So we're off of I-20 West. Nice home, nice neighborhood in the boonies. One day I'm in school and I get a call from my sister. She's like, I need you to grab the boys. It's her sons, my nephews. They went to the daycare next to my high school. She said, I need you to grab the boys and head to my house in Riverdale. I was like, why? Like, Mom got kicked out of the house. I was like, why? What's going on? Like, I thought it was Gucci. Long story short, my mother she got scammed by a loan shark who, and it's funny now being a homeowner, getting those same spam letters about, refinance and pay us and you can refinance your mortgage and do all this other shit. Like, I sent a picture to my my loan officer. I was like, yo, Mark, who is this? He was like, spam, throw it away. Like, easy. My mom didn't have that, you know, that benefit. She literally saw it as an opportunity to pay less money so that way she can provide more for her children. That's what she was seeing. And so, long story short, she had been paying the wrong people, not paying mortgage for like 4 months.
Wow.
This was I was in high school. This was 2013, 2014.
Happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, around that time.
Wow.
It was because my sister's a paralegal, so she knew she was actually working on cases like that, and it happened to be our mom was one of the victims that happened. So, yeah, deadass. That same day, like there's people. I didn't even see my house that day. Haven't seen it since. Didn't even go home. I went straight to my sister's house. We stayed with my sister for 3 months, and then we got a new house. So, my mom just got attacked by a loan shark, and she didn't have that mindset, the intuition, right, to understand how scams work. And because I learned that, by the way, when I had to sign up for my course, I had to take a course, a homeowner's course, literally how to navigate people who could potentially scam you. I had to learn that. And honestly, in my opinion, that is a financial literacy skill, because there's a lot of scammy shit in the finance world, right?
Yes and no. I think anyone can be scammed. We all have a scam that's gonna get us.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess it just pops up a lot.
Student loans.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I share that story to say that I share that story to show that my mom
she has her habits, and again, those are good habits that she passed down to me. But there's also bad habits as far as overspending for like other people's children. It's a habit she also has, right? She'll spend so much money, sending all this money to Jamaica, which is great. But I'm like, yo, we're struggling too. Like, we're actually struggling. Your own children are actually struggling. Like, why should I have to work 2 jobs and I'm 17? I shouldn't have to.
It's the way.
Not when I have 3 siblings. Like, what is happening here? Like,
Right.
What is actually happening here? So it's like trying to teach my mom that she may need to downsize her house. She lives in a 6-bedroom house by herself. For why? So you're talking about, you know, trying to teach our parents like these skills that we're learning, and like trying to be more, maybe may even need to be more frugal in some cases, may need to be more minimalistic in other cases. I'm gonna answer your question by saying I don't know how we can do that.
Well, for me, I don't try to change those habits, right? What works for me is giving them more opportunity to expand their portfolio, right? So it's opening that Vanguard account with them and saying, well, you have a savings account. Consider also putting that as a savings account.
Yeah.
Right?
The small things.
Things like that. Or, you know, if they have they ask me questions I don't understand. I'm like, you need an accountant for this. I am not an accountant.
Does, yeah. My mother also struggles with technology too. So
right.
That's a big barrier because everything is tech-based.
Right.
Mobile apps, right? Web apps, and do all this digital banking. Like, my mom still writes checks. She still prints out her bills.
Oh,
and
yeah.
writes on them, oh, this would do this date. Like, she still gets paper mail for her bills.
Right. And those are her systems, right?
Yeah, that's
those are her system. And that's good. That's her system. And I mean, we all know. We all have had a 9-to-5 where they change system and you're like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta learn all this again. It's the same thing, you know? So I think it's important for whatever like little thing it is. So my cousin right now is working with her mom to get, because her mom's about to marry this new person, and to get the house in a trust, right?
That's next level, yeah. Gotta get.
She's struggling,
yeah.
but she's making it happen.
Okay.
So it's these things. So, you know, my aunt is like, trust? Like, what is this? Is like, Mom, you know, and then guiding her, babysitting her for it.
Yeah.
Right? So things like that. What about you? Like, do you teach your parents financial things?
Very touchy topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, because I struggle with. I don't know. Like, they, first of all, they haven't. And if they see this, they're gonna have, like, my sister might see this. She might have an attitude. But it's just like, I don't think they actually started to even pay attention to, like, my opinion of things until I hit a certain threshold in their mind.
Right.
So like, when in high school, I was very sound in high school. I had to figure out how to get like college sorted out. I had to figure out, because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's not a slight to them. Once again, their main concern was making sure that I went to college, but they didn't go to college, so they don't have any idea of that. Yeah. And they had to make sure that I had my citizenship to go to college, because I was a permanent resident. They had, and before that, I was illegal for a long time. And
Under
so,
the radar, yeah.
And so I had to figure out scholarships. I had to figure out what school to go to, like the return on investment on like what program to pick.
Yeah,
I wanted
exactly.
to do technology.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm doing technology. I need to stay in Georgia so I can have Hope and Pell. Doesn't make sense to do this frilly shit and try to go to Howard and do all this other stuff and act like, oh, I'm just going to Howard. When I know that that's not going to give me a degree that in my field that I think is going to
have a return. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking of all these things at 16 years old because I have to. Exactly. I don't have a choice. Yeah. And so that they listen to me in that perspective, because it's like, well, you know better than us. Mm-hmm. So that's where, if you want to go there, cool. But there was no conversation about like helping me get there. As far as I'm concerned, it was like, it's either you get a scholarship full ride or you can't go.
Right.
And luckily I got a scholarship full ride, and I got Pell, and I got Hope, and I had all these other things, and I figured out finessed how to sell books back to the school.
Oh yeah.
Fun fact: the reason why they stopped doing that was because of me and my homeboy.
That's funny.
We were buying books from Amazon and selling them back to the bookstore for full price.
Oh wow. That's wild.
So we did that for a semester, and they're like, "Nigga, no, I'm not finna finesse this for this. Make $300 off of this biology book."
Yeah.
But even in college, I was in a bubble. So like they were just like, he's in college, leave him alone. Don't bother him with what's going on at home with whatever family issues are happening and all of that. So when I graduated, it kind of changed a little bit. It's like, oh, he's not that like he's smart, but it's like, oh, he did the thing. So like we can listen to him a little bit more.
Right.
And then I got a job. I don't talk about how much money I make ever, but my mom is always looking at me like, I know you make
certain
money.
Yeah.
And you do our taxes, so I know you make more than like I know that when you look at like what we make, there's something there. But it's just a whole other thing. So then she started listening to me a little bit more because she knows that, okay, so he's making more
so
money.
you're slowly inching along.
So I'm slowly inching along, and then I got married and moved out of the house, and then it was like, okay, so now he's like
big man this.
Sounds like you got promotions over the years.
Yeah. But then I'm also switching jobs along the way. So I'm telling her, I'm like, Mom, I'm this now, and she's like, oh, that's great, babe. She don't know what the fuck it means.
Right.
This is my title now, and I work here. It didn't change until I worked at Porsche. Now, like my uncles are paying attention now because they like cars.
Right. That's nothing to do with anything.
Nothing. I took my. It was one of the proudest moments of my life.
It's wild, yo.
I took him to the headquarters because they had like a day where you can like drive the cars for free and you can pick any car you want, and they have Bentleys in there and all this other stuff. And I was telling them, I was like, for my lunch, I sit in these cars. Yeah. Like that's the first thing I did when I got there, because my first day, I looked in the parking lot because the employees have this incredible discount for the cars. So I sat in the park and I looked around and I'm like, I have to get over this now. Yeah. Like today, I have to get over this like. This stunning, because it'll fuck up my career. Yep. Thinking that I need to stay here in the event that I have to leave, and I won't leave because I feel like I can't because I'm not around all this cool shit. So I would sit and eat my lunch in like Bentegas and like just sit there and be like, this is cool. It's nice. It's kind of small. Like, why? Like this shit is weird. It's like, I don't know. And so
Porsche's European, right?
Yeah, German.
Gotcha.
So it's cool, and then that thing happened, and I had to leave, and I'm telling my mom along the way, and they're looking, and they're like, wow, this is amazing, like this is where you work, it's dope. I leave because of my career, and they're like, oh, you're leaving that amazing place, why would you leave?
Yeah, they see it as a safe haven.
And so like, it switches again, so it's like, oh, there's foresight, like I have my mom's foresight, like she had incredible foresight. Right. So it changes again. So now they're listening, but now that I have this job, I think they're finally starting to be like, well, let me ask you about these credit cards.
Right.
Can you tell us about how to do? And then when I'm explaining to them like some of the stuff that we're trying to do, like my main goal right now is paying off my house. We have a townhouse, and I'm like, this shit is gonna get paid off in 5 years, come hell or high water. Hell bent on doing that. And when I told my mom that, she was like, that's a foreign concept to me, paying off a house. We don't pay houses off. We just have these houses and stuff like. So it's a hard conversation because I'm trying to figure out how much of it, because I know their habits. Like, how much of it do I need to spend my time in teaching them, while also, because it's a reach back to do that.
Versus,
but you also have to
your future.
Pull yourself forward. Yeah. And I know that they have these habits that have been stewing for years, like decades before I was born.
Not just years, decades. Yeah.
It's a very touchy topic for me because it's like I want my mom to be able to retire and like help raise kids, and that's something that she wants. My family does a really good job of like being a family, but financially sometimes we fall. Like we're incredibly connected. Like I told you, like we're in, and you've seen it. Like we are wildly connected. My mom has 10 brothers and sisters, 6 brothers. And 3 sisters. It's 10 of them total. And so all of the things that they learned in Jamaica is coming from my grandfather, who was a farmer. Like that's so they.
Oh yeah, he got the game.
Yeah, so his thing wasn't really money. It was more so like a bartering system. Like he had land, and he had farmland, so he was providing food for people. It didn't necessarily mean he had like a lot of money. But just provisions. So some of that education it does trickle down, but it's hard to think like, Ma, you need to get into the new age of like investing in this, investing in that, and doing all this, and it's just it's hard to do.
Sorry, I'm talking from behind you.
No, go ahead.
But I think
it's JD, everybody.
Hi. But I think from your perspective of you're moving forward, but you still gotta reach back. I feel like it's always, and I coach people with financial literacy, like that are like in my age group, age range, anybody honestly, because I've done it for my church, like women at my church, and helped them out, and I feel like when you are moving forward, you have to gauge how far forward you want to move to then reach back. I feel like it's more so, okay, if I take 2 steps, that means, and whatever those 2 steps mean to you, if I get 2 promotions, okay, I'm at a point, I can reevaluate, how can I look back and help now? Instead, a lot of us we take 1 step, oh, I got this big job, I finally graduated college, I got a good job, and we want to help right then, but that we can't do that. Like realistically, we're doing ourselves a disservice. And if we're the ones that are breaking the generational curse, we have to understand that we gotta wait a little bit. We gotta wait 5 years. We might have to wait 10 years. But at that point, we'll be able to do so much more, or even just be able to do all of it.
Right.
And so, but I get your point because I'm West Indian as well. Yeah. So like I get that whole. You gotta help your family. Like family is big to me. Like my mom's sisters are all in Guyana right now. She just came back. Like, cause my grandfather's not doing well, but everybody like was trickling in. You know, this person this person this week. So it's like I understand the family dynamic, but also the bigger picture. You gotta see the bigger picture. You always have to step out and see the bigger picture. And you're not helping your family when you're doing that. You're still helping, but to make that impact of help, you have to reevaluate and figure out, okay, if I'm taking these 2 steps, okay, after step number 2, that's when I'm gonna make my first big impact. But still teaching and showing is a really big impact that you would never see something like right away, but you will see the growth and everything of your family, like you talked about, like them now asking, and you know, those small steps that you were taking.
Right, and when I said like teaching my parents how to invest, it took me years, right? I've been investing for 10 years, and my parents were like, nah. But now I'm like, here's my portfolio. Look at it. Look how much money I have in there.
Plural, oral, representation matters. A black smile on the back don't make you want to smile.
Hey, if you were to choose
the feminine products, the brown dishes. Some people don't even know there's black-owned detergent, black-owned toothbrushes, having bandages for brown-skinned people.
They said we out here giving tips out now. We done went to the first 50. Now it's on the tips, baby. On the tips.
And we're going on tour across Metro Atlanta delivering free care packages to college students that are all 100% black owned. And we back from the break.
We back.
From the break. We back. From the break. And we're talking about making that bread. It didn't rhyme. I was trying to make it rhyme.
It's okay.
It
was still good though. You were still on me.
I was going to, but like cake, that's not money. That's cheeks. It's cheeks. It's cheeks, man. It's not money. But yeah.
That's a different conversation.
Different
podcast.
Bonus episode. We're gonna talk about BBLs. But anyways.
Ooh.
Anyways. Oh man. JD, appreciate you for joining us. Let's clap it up for JD.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
It's been a long morning.
Go ahead. Just go ahead and share. We're here. Yep.
I'm going on a tangent.
This is a tangent.
So yesterday, I was working from home.
Okay.
Left the house to go to Aldi, go get groceries, being a responsible adult, knowing I have a very busy weekend.
Right.
I come back home, doing my dishes, about to do my laundry. For some odd reason, like when I touch anything, I like go wash my hands again. Like I like literally touched the cap of the laundry and some got on my hand. I was going to wash my hands.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, there's no water coming out my pipes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Your water pipe was like,
right. And I noticed that they were doing construction when I came back in from Aldi. They were digging for something. I don't know. Gold, maybe. Who knows?
right. Them precious metals, man.
Exactly.
They're trying to invest.
And I went down. Long story short, I went down. I asked him. Asked him the second time, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my boss just said we hit something."
Yikes.
And I'm like, okay, so let me get off the phone with this plumber and call the city of Atlanta. Call the city of Atlanta. They said that they will dispatch somebody out to my home. I'm leaving to go out. I got to head out to dinner. I'm working a pageant this weekend, hence the pageant mom shirt. And as soon as I'm driving down, the city of Atlanta watershed guy comes. We talk, tell him what's going on. I now come back home after 12, and they're working. I'm like, okay, great. This will be solved in the morning. I wake up this morning, 7:45-ish, no water.
Yikes.
So, yeah, there's water, but there's also a very high bill that some company, whoever's digging, is going to have to pay. So, yeah, that was my morning. Welcome to home ownership, kids. No warning.
Zero.
So, here I am. But I'm here, guys.
Yep.
Yes. Welcome back.
Yes. We here, man. So, what do you do?
I am an accountant by trade. I went to school for accounting. I currently still work in accounting. I'm a consultant. And on the side, I do small business accounting outside of the fun, amazing job of being an accountant. I used to compete in pageants, hence the pageant mom shirt. I have my own podcast as well that talks about the life and times of me, obviously. But it really shares my account on being an immigrant, living in the United States for now 10 plus years, and those experiences with relationships, life, therapy with, going to therapy as a Caribbean woman, going to therapy and having Caribbean parents and explaining to them what, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That exactly. Are you okay? My mom, the first time I told her, she's like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? I'm like, girl, nothing. Like, it's free. Bro, yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that, but couldn't. But no, nothing really was going on. But like, you learn things. So that's what my podcast is about. So yeah, follow me on Instagram _ jaded on all social media platforms.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we should say that too, huh? Talk up 2K.
There we go. He's got it. What? You're not on social.
Please don't contact me.
There we go.
Love it.
There you go.
Well, they can contact you on LinkedIn.
Right.
Please don't.
Love it.
Facts. Yeah. Are you on socials, Vanessa?
Yeah, I'm at Nessa Holmes with a Z on Instagram. I don't check anything else.
Got it. Cool. Welcome back. All right, so diving into this second half, right? We're talking about money. Money. I think the first half we made it quite clear that money is a tool. It is not a destination. It's a means. It is not an end. I really want to talk. Well, first half we talked about what things you can do with money, right? It's a tool. You can invest in precious metals with it. You can save money. You can spend money. You can buy some red bottoms, right? You can buy some hookah. Buy some Birkins.
Stop it.
We're talking about black businesses now, so we buy some Telfar.
Black and Blackwood.
Telfar, yeah. Apparently, it's the Telfeezy is like a colloquialism that's circulating on Black Twitter.
Oh.
Yeah. So shout out to my sis Tia. She became a Telfeezy girl yesterday.
Ooh. Hey. Come on, got that drop, that exclusive.
Yeah. She's not here, but she was here yesterday, and I literally was watching her. Apparently, they have a very
it's very intricate.
Very nerve-wracking.
I'm a Telfar girl.
Yeah, go ahead and share the process.
I'm a Telfar girl. So when he sends you that email that he's gonna drop a bag and a color on a certain day, you have to be at that computer.
Yeah, ready.
Now he's changed it to 12 p.m., but it used to be 9 a.m.
Oh, hell
You
no.
have to be logged in on that site, ready to hit add to cart at 9 o'clock. As soon as the clock ticks to 9, add to cart. Let's go. Make it happen. It's sneaker culture.
Interesting.
But now, exactly. But now the girls are in it, and they're women that have like not thousands of Telfar bags, like hundreds of Telfar bags, every color, every size.
Sheesh.
Just like how
Wow,
men
good
have
for them.
all
All the
types
types
of
of shoes.
shoes.
Good for
And
them.
yesterday he does this thing where it's like a pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday it was the first time it's not a pre-order.
Yeah, it wasn't a
it's
pre-order.
different. So he's released all of the colors,
Mm-hmm.
all of the sizes.
Oh, wow.
And you can go on there during those times and get whatever you need. I think there was no limit either. So you can buy as many as you wanted to.
I know he raked in
Oh, no,
stacks.
he raked in money.
Oh, God.
And yeah, he cleared it. And the
wow.
thing is, like, he just went on there and bought everything, and you get your bag. So pre-orders, you normally get it like 6 months after. This, you're getting your bags between the 29th of September and the 29th of October. So it's faster. So yeah, that's why even the site was crashed yesterday too. So
It did. She was eighth in line. So like immediately as soon as she logged in, she was already eighth in line. Because I mean, you can imagine there's thousands of people on here. So she had to wait.
There are so many
Like 10
businesses
minutes.
who are doing this model now. Like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
Amazon is doing that. I don't know if y'all know about
Really?
like Amazon the Drop.
yes, with the
Oh,
influencers.
so-
Oh my God, it's hard to get some of that stuff.
That's
I've
new.
gotten some. They're pretty.
What is this?
So
Did you get
Amazon.
Vicky? Sorry.
No, I did not.
Amazon drop.
So Amazon, they you have to be subscribed on their text message, right? They send you a text message that so and so influencer have their line available now. You have 30 hours to buy, but if it's a popular influencer or if it's an aesthetically pleasing look, it'll sell out in the first 5 minutes, right? Sometimes it goes longer. Sometimes it goes to the 30 hours and they do it made to order. So it's really an urgency. What is up with that?
Yeah.
This urgency.
I was about to say,
exclusivity.
it's
Culture.
exclusivity. It definitely adds to the and this is actually still on topic. I love that we're talking about this because like it boils down to that, you know, the fundamental principle of supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
There are some products and industries to where supply going down actually drives up demand. And not the conventional way we think of, right? It's more so things that are super, super rare. So like Bugattis, for example, right? They're not dime a dozen. They're not like a Corolla,
Do
right?
they? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's like they make like 2 at a time. Like,
That's
why
wild.
So much. They're so expensive.
Yeah.
So who waking up in these Bugattis? I woke up in
Right.
Yeah.
Who's waking up in these Bugattis?
Listen. Did he? No, but
So
that's
they
facts, though.
lied.
It's sneaker culture. It's art culture. It's
Yeah.
The same,
Yeah.
It's all the same stuff. It's just
Exclusivity.
exclusive. Like you have this thing. It's NFT culture. Like you have
Yes.
this thing.
Oh yeah,
That no one
we
else
do have
has.
an NFT.
Yeah.
I do.
It
I did
definitely
have an
drives the
NFT.
demand.
I will be remiss, and I'll get in a lot of trouble if I didn't shout out one of my clients.
Yes.
Since we're talking about fashion, Project Oscar. He was in last season's Project Runway, and more special projects going on. So I did it.
Love it. No, that's facts. No, yeah. I mean, like, literally, since we're talking about money, like, it's really interesting how people crave that exclusivity piece, right? There's actually an episode I'm recording next week where we specifically talk about branding, exclusivity, and the psychology of pricing, right? So, like, when you look at a Birkin that costs 3 bands, I feel like I've seen one that costs 3 bands.
No, they're expensive.
Yeah.
But is that something that you should be spending your money on? Like things that are
It
within the
depends.
exclusivity culture.
So-
So I would say it
Yeah.
depends. Something like a Birkin bag who does not really lose value, right? That's an investment. You know, you can literally, exchange that for real cash, and somebody will pay it even more than what you bought.
Yeah.
That is an
Yes.
investment way too. I'm not saying like luxury. I think a lot of time we think like luxurious items mean waste of money because you don't have it, but it can be a form of investment as well if you're doing it correctly.
If you're doing it correctly. Thank you for adding that anecdote because all of that whole industry gets mudded by clout culture, right?
Yeah.
And flex culture. I mean, we're in Atlanta, right? Flex capital of the world. And so on the topic of money, using your... Really, Dubai?
I don't think they're flexing though. They're all rich.
But they're all rich, so that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, they're not. No.
So that's more so. That's like the rich capital of the world.
When
all
I
the
think
rich
of
people
flexing,
are there.
I think of people that don't really have it, but are trying to look like they have it. People in Dubai have it. Like,
yeah. Atlanta, niggas be flexing. Okay, they got one red bottoms in their closet and think that they own the block. Like.
hey, you can get your red bottoms fixed. So they probably just be going to get it fixed every time.
So circling this back right to the topic, do you think luxurious items is a productive avenue? Is it a productive asset class? Is something that's good?
I like to comment on this.
Does it count?
To answer this question, because we were talking to Vanessa's cousin one time. She said something crazy. It just blew my mind, right? Mm-hmm. She was like, "You're not successful until a Gucci belt is just a belt." And I was like,
"Thank you."
Damn.
No,
like you know what I mean.
Say it one more time.
Yeah. You know what I mean. Like, so I thought that was such a phenomenal thing. So there's nothing wrong with luxury items, but to me, it's like, oh, okay, when you make it, it's just another belt. So if you like it and it genuinely, authentically resonates with you, then do your thing. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But it's like there's no need for it to add anything to you because you're already full. Mm-hmm. Like you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Your spirit, your mind, your emotions, all that stuff.
Yeah. What character? Yeah.
Because I knew it was gonna fuck me up.
Yeah, immerse yourself.
I've never seen that before. Mm-hmm. I've never seen, and those are all people who work there. I work there.
Literally a culture shock. It's a culture shock. Yeah.
Be like, no.
Mm-hmm.
These are just regular cars. They're expensive.
But they're regular cars.
Regular cars, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I think from a luxurious item thing, I think it depends, right? A bag, yes. Glasses, no. The reason I'm saying no for glasses is the price point of what it makes to manufacture a glass, right? So you are, I don't know, Versace.
Yeah.
You are whomever, Ray-Bans. And literally, it's all done in the same factory a lot of times.
Yeah.
Very similar factories. And they're paying $3 for these glasses, right?
Yeah.
And it may add something to it to make it more... But glasses are the biggest scam. It's one of the big scam. Because it does not cost much to make glasses. Right? It's $3, $4, $5 to make it, and then it's retail at $300, $400, $1,000 because that brand slapped their name on there, right?
Yeah.
But then when you come to like a bag, there's more details that goes into it, right?
There's actually artwork that
there's procurement. There's procurement. There's material. There's different things. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people are still slapping their names on a bag.
That's true.
But there are certain brands that are still doing that. But the people who know, they know.
Right.
And that's where the value comes from.
Right.
What about shoes? Because I'm a
shoes.
shoe and clothes kind
of
girl.
Costs like $13 to make Jordans, right? No.
It depends.
I really want a pair of red bottoms.
It depends on the shoes. It depends on the shoes. I would say most shoes are they're really cheap to make, but material again, right?
Okay.
Are you getting alligator skin? I don't know.
Right.
I don't condone that, but if you are,
I like to toss something out there when we start talking about luxurious items, right? Like, I think it's important to remember that value is all about intrinsic value. It's all about what is valuable to this individual. None of it is real until the group says it's valuable, right? So
that's true.
You can have a gold statue, like, I can sell this for whatever, but if no one wants it, and no one's willing to give you money, then it's not valuable.
It's not valuable.
Right? So I think
makes sense.
It's really important to remember that. Like, ultimately, do what makes you happy, and I think understand ultimately that value is purely based on perspective, and it can change like that. Maybe someone will give you $25,000 for that bag today, and then tomorrow people like, what? Never. Never, ever.
Yeah.
It depends.
One of the biggest things that happened in fashion was the 80s. In the 80s, I don't know what happened, but I don't remember, but there were a lot of brands out there that people were buying $1,000 off the shelf, and now they're worthless, right? Because no one knows what they are.
Y'all remember Creative Recreation?
No.
The shoe brand?
See, I don't know that one.
Creative Rex
I don't know that one.
Creative Rex had a nice little era. I had a pair. Or, what are they called? It's not Supreme. Supreme is another flex brand.
I guess that's where the
Supras. They're sneakers.
I do remember those. Yeah. I do remember those.
Yeah, so there's that too. And that's the thing with certain things when it comes to luxurious items, right? Are you buying it because it's Chanel, or do you understand like the product, like the quality behind it. Because you can buy a Chanel. That's not a good example, but for my purposes, you can buy something similar very expensively and it's crap.
Yeah.
Right? But are you actually digging into the history of it? Are you actually looking into the material to feel it, to see it, to touch it, so that it actually has value? I don't wear a lot of brand names. I really don't, because I find I mostly buy my stuff. I buy my stuff from like the medium and things. But when it comes to luxury, I buy from Black brands, and it's usually smaller businesses, not the Brennan Black Hoods or the Telfar. Not them. I'm talking about like I went to Fashion Week and I saw this person, and they have the quality, and it's competitive. And usually I get it for a bargain. Yeah. Because I'm like, talk to me. I'm going to help you out with that.
Right.
But those are usually where I buy it from. Like a lot of my clothes for when I'm going to an event are usually Black brands.
I like that.
So
I love that.
So I'm going to address the question to everyone then now, because this is getting me excited. Do you think that there has to be an awareness component to when people buy luxurious items? Do you need to understand what you're putting your money to?
You should understand what you're putting your money into, especially if you're gonna buy a $700 pair of shoes. If you're gonna buy a $40,000 bag, because Birkins can get that high. Yeah. If you're gonna buy a $40,000 bag, I think you should know what you're getting yourself into. You should know the quality, how it's made. How can I also get this refurbished if something happens? Like, I'm not just buying this bag. Do you know how to maintain it? Yeah. Are you going to be able to? Or are you buying it
to look good at that party on Friday night?
Flex and for the internet, like there has to be. So
you could apply this to any vice.
Yeah.
The level goes crazy. Like even with cars, like you want this vintage car from like 70 years ago. You understand that like
the value, right?
If you put a dent in it, trying to get it into your garage,
it's worthless.
Than anything. Like, and how do you repair that?
Yeah.
Right.
Actually understand.
Standing those things.
I think people who have like frivolous money that just pay attention to what people say about like, okay, they say I need to buy like a jet. All right, bet.
I'll buy a jet. Because one of my first like luxury purchases that I asked for was a Kate Spade tote, and I did my research and I knew Kate Spade is a brand. Yeah, and I knew that Kate Spade, if something ever happened to your bag, you could always take it to the store. And they cleaned it, they fixed it, they refurbished it, and that was one of the reasons I like leaned onto Kate Spade when I was kind of like coming up, I guess. Right. You know, because I knew that it would be worth that money. It's worth the, $200. Instead of going to Target and I have to buy the same Target tote bag 4 times
and
in a lifetime. Ain't got no warranty, on it or anything. So
I want to make sure I rephrase my question, make sure I'm specific. Is there a wisdom component to wealth that separates someone doing some rich nigga shit versus actually moving like a wealthy person?
Yes. I mean, still staying in a fashion thing. You'll see a lot of people that we admire have a white t-shirt on or black t-shirt on, and they pay $500 for that black t-shirt.
Yes,
right. Ridiculous. And they're like, why would you do that, right? Why would you do that? Why would you pay that money for that? And you touch it and you're like, I don't know if I'll pay $500, but
I get it.
But it is nice. It's nice. So I think that you have to be intentional about where you invest your money in luxury and if any investment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all risky.
It is.
It's all risky.
You can't be married to that money.
Real estate is risky. Your stocks are risky. Your anything is risky. At any moment, anything can happen. Nobody could have predicted 2008 to happen.
Right.
No one.
Or the pandemic.
I think we should be intentional. About where we want, and if, like Julia said, if we find it valuable, do it. But do not. I think my issue is that people stretch themselves a little bit more too much to do it. If you saved up for that, reward yourself. But if you're going into debt to own it, to
flex,
I have issues with that. But if that's your thing, do you, boo-boo?
And that's it's something very proverbial that Devon brought up in our last episode. He crafted it beautifully, and he brought up a proverb of how the pharaohs of old, right, when a young boy was on his way to ascend to kingship, one of his tests was he had to literally wear the gold
of all of the kings before him. And if he could withstand the literal weight and of course the proverbial weight of literally his ancestors, then he was worthy to be the next king.
Wow.
Like, to me, that's so powerful. And we've lost that connection to intrinsic value.
Because everybody wants to be rich.
No one wants to be wealthy.
And also nobody wants to put in the work to gain the wisdom to be wealthy.
There you go.
Because I think wisdom. That's it. The more you grow in wisdom, the wealthier you will be. The richer you will be in this life. And in general,
wealth is such a dynamic frame of mind.
Yeah.
Can we define wealth?
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times people think they have to have millions of dollars in a bank to be wealthy. It's not just dollar amounts, right?
Yeah.
No. My definition of wealth is if you have, I don't know, $50,000 in the bank. You're comfortable. You're able to accomplish all your goals and everything that you need to do. You are wealthy. You know, it's not in comparison to what, you know, so and so billionaire is doing. You are wealthy because you are comfortable. You're able to grow. That 50 is going to become 60, 70, et cetera, and it'll keep growing. But if you are not comfortable in yourself. Because I know a lot of broke millionaires.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right? Millionaires are still living paycheck to paycheck.
House rich, cash poor. Yeah.
You know, so that's also a thing. So to be wealthy is not the money value.
They probably waking up in that Bugatti because they sleeping in the They might be.
That's funny.
Yo.
Yeah.
I guess defining the difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your definition?
I had to even recalibrate my mind to it because I had a conversation yesterday with the financial advisor. And he was telling us where we are and where we could be and we have to do to make up a difference. So the idea of being rich to me is you're always running and you're passing up. You're a consumer at the highest level.
You're just a good
Yeah.
Damn.
You can afford it. High level. We're not talking about oh, I got a Gucci belt. No. I'm talking about
You paying $18,000 on dinner that we was talking about?
We're not gonna get into that conversation because I think that's fine.
That's interesting. Right.
I guess wealth is more so wealth is not running. It's standing. It's old.
Wisdom.
It's
wisdom. Yeah, it's wisdom.
Wealth
it is
buying power. A different level of what you represent.
Yeah.
We always talk about legacy.
It's
stuff.
peace.
Wealth is a different level of you mean so much to you, but now wealth is gives you the power to for other people to see how much you're actually worth in totality, not just how much you spend.
Yeah.
So to add to that, one of the things that we were talking about when we were off camera was generational wealth, right? How do we pass it on to generations, right? I feel like a lot of our predecessors, they may have owned the house, they may have, owned that land or whatever assets it is, but then the next generation is unable to keep to that because of all the tax loops and all the, Uncle Sam's gonna get their money, or even
eminent domain and real estate.
Eminent domain.
Yeah.
Oh my God, let's talk about it.
That's
if people don't know what eminent domain is.
For the laymen's and laywomen's, please.
It's pretty much when the government can tell you, hey, we're trying to build a road through your house.
Or
is that what happened?
There we go.
Yep.
That happened over there?
Stadium.
Or the
Atlanta United field.
What?
Or the Beltline.
Oh, yes.
What?
All of
Indeed.
Atlanta.
See, I'm new to Atlanta.
Basically.
All of Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Those people that have been, displaced.
Yes.
right.
And now, let me not talk about the other one, but we'll get into it another episode.
So, I think what we can talk about is how do we protect ourselves for the next generation to benefit from our work, right? So they can build on it, right? We're not going to get everything perfect,
right?
But how can they build on this?
But wealth is I just got this understanding. It's we, for example, wife is an architect. I know that this house, the next house that we buy, we're aiming for it to be the house. It's going to be the house that it's a big deal. That house is probably going to cost some absorbent amount of money. And I always thought in my head, I'll just work to get to the money.
No.
To buy it. And we're so into debt freedom and trying to do all these things through cash. everything is in my head was assumed was like it'll just be cash. We buy the land in cash. We'll try to build the house in cash. And you realize, talking to financial advisor, he's like, you're not going to be able to do that.
No.
You're going to have to borrow money at some point, and it's better to use somebody else's money
than to use
Absolutely.
your own.
And keep your money where it can be like
leveraged. Continue to leverage it. Yeah.
And that's I think.
But that is leveraging your money.
Yeah,
you
you
being
are.
able to borrow somebody else's money at a low cost.
Because your cash is now collateral in order to get other people's money, right?
But wealth always also seems to be how much, because you have to have enough. There has to be enough of you, and it has to be diversified enough to where you can ask for whatever you want.
Yes.
And I think when you, as like what's expensive in high school to you is no longer expensive when you go to college, which is no longer expensive when you start paying your own bills. Things that you thought were like super expensive are no longer really that big of a deal. It was like, how do I get this thing? And I'm so young and I can't do it. So now it's like you have to understand, like, in order to get to the next phase of how much your house will cost, you have to get into a totally different like mind state of wealth. Like you have enough wealth for where you are right now, you're good.
Yeah.
But to get to the other spot, you won't make it there because you don't have enough of the other things that you have to learn. So learning it will help with kids, because you can teach your kids that, and they have now they start with a way higher value of wealth from diversified portfolios as kids, to where they can just take it to another level. And I feel like that's how like millionaires make tens of millionaires, makes hundreds of millionaires, make billionaires. That's how it
built onto it.
So
Carnegie,
yes, all those JP Morgans. So
Hilton,
I definitely applaud Carrick and Vanessa. Great definitions of wealth. Thank you. Because I was waiting for someone to talk about the most pivotal piece of wealth is something you can pass down. I was waiting for that. Carrick, you said it, and Vanessa, you said it. My definition of wealth is a true level of liberation of energy and money and peace that you can pass down to those after you. That's really it. It's that simple. And notice I didn't mention explicitly money, because money is a tool.
Right.
Before dollar bills were a thing, we were using something else, right? We weren't.
You're bartering and
We've been telling y'all, invest in yourself, invest in your family, get the policy. You can focus on celebrating their life instead of grieving over this debt.
I was just gonna say, I think I read somewhere that Chadwick didn't have life insurance.
He didn't even have a will.
Or a will. Yeah.
Wow.
The state of California got a good chunk of his money.
They took like $2 million.
Yeah, they
Word?
got. Yep.
That's
the
wild.
state got a good chunk of his money because they had to go through probate court. Mind you, he was married.
Yeah.
His wife got some money, and his family. But it's the fact. Total. It's the fact that the state took $2 million. Because when he died, the state was like, well, I guess we got to figure out where your money goes.
Right.
And they
so
went,
go ahead and
they
give
got
us
to work.
$900K for just figuring it out. And we're going to keep another.
Jesus
But all
Christ.
you got to do was give all my money to my wife.
Yeah.
Period. You put it on a
Same
toilet
thing with,
paper.
what's her name? Aretha Franklin, I think. She didn't have a will either.
DMX did it either with all them kids. I think they're still fighting. I think they still fighting because the fiance tried to slide in. They're like, no ma'am.
To answer your question, that's why we do what we do. Just to make sure people have. I'm sure no one really came to travel.
We're back, y'all.
Hey.
I forgot to do the intro.
Hey.
We're back
Hey.
again. We about to wrap it up. All right, cool. So, I want to dive into the nuance of money. We've been talking about money all day, right? I want to talk about how money can be intimidating. Money is a tool. Money can also be a monster in the closet. So I like to personify things, if you haven't noticed by now, right? So money is a builder, right? And so I'm specifically talking about our culture, and our people have such financial anxiety when it comes to talking about topics like this. And we identified this earlier, that all of us are privileged enough to have a productive intellectual conversation about money. Not a lot of people who look like us can have this type of conversation to talk about precious metals, S&P 500, Fidelity Bank, TIAA, retirement, life insurance. We talked about surviving versus thriving, right? That literally does something to your mental psyche. You don't have time. One of my favorite shows, Atlanta, Ern was talking. He was talking to his boy Darius. Excuse me. He was trying to get money. And Darius took him to like a pawn shop to like pawn off this sword. And
eventually
when
to like
he
a
finally
dog.
got to the dogs, he was like, yeah, in like 3-4 months, they're gonna pull in like 2 bands each. He was like, I need to eat today. Like today, bro. I have a daughter. Like, and he was just like, I don't have time to think like that. And but anyways, you guys know the story, how the show went. But it speaks volumes because that's the reality for a lot of people.
I'm glad that they did that because it was a visualization.
Very powerful. No,
it was a
very
really
powerful.
good visual.
You gotta take a sip.
That. I did it! Oh, wow.
I am honored to be the first one.
Right. There you go. Cool.
But, and I'm also glad that he got his money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess like monster in the closet for people is just different. It depends on where you are, your wealth journey, your money making journey. Monsters in the closet is very different.
I think even in the beginning stages, it's scary.
Yes.
Like when you're first starting to make a lot of money and you're also in a lot of debt from not having money, it's scary to like open these bills and like pay these things back and like and sometimes you feel like you don't want to do it because you just want to enjoy but that's also more anxiety.
Yes.
Because you're adding on to the bill. Now the bill has a fee and you have to do this interest.
Now they send collections after you.
Yeah,
So,
now it's on your credit.
Actual bills like cell phone, like you can live without a cell phone.
Yeah.
Mortgage, light,
power,
water,
but
gas.
But what about those people? Because I've heard stories of people who had bills before they could even legally have bills, right?
Yeah.
So the electricity is in my name at 6. And I'm 6 years old. So now I do have a really good friend that she found out she had $5,000 in debt in electric bill.
How does that happen?
So your parents do it.
Your parents
What
put
the
your
fuck?
electric bill in your name.
Yeah,
fuck?
they have your social security number. And I think
that is so bad.
Yeah,
right.
And that goes back to privilege that you guys talked about earlier. It's a privilege to have parents that see more for you and see a future for you and want better for you and are not going to put you through things that you don't have to go through.
Jesus Christ, that is terrible.
Well, I'll toss this out there too. Like I think when we talk about money anxiety, right? Like so. Anxiety is essentially about power, right? So if you're telling me money anxiety, I'm saying, well, this is an area you don't feel like you have a control.
That's true.
As far as where money is.
That's where definitely what drives a lot of anxiety.
Exactly. That's where that feeling originates from. And so I think for me, what's been really helpful when I'm in those moments is to lean into the areas where I do feel like I'm in control, right? Where I have a lot of influence. So instead of trying to deal with how do I get through this anxiety about the student loans, it's like, well, my business is doing really, really well. Let me lean into that and let me expand upon that. Because as that does better, that's going to ultimately take care of this.
Correct.
So with people, I think a great way to start is like where you feel like you're winning and you're doing really well with money. Like, you know
that's
what I'm
good.
saying? Can you like, you know what I mean? Can you sell like, I don't know, candy bars doing this, doing that? Or can you save really well? Or what is it that you do really well? And I would say lean into that area really,
they need
really
their
hard.
power.
Yeah, and that's going to bit by bit kind of take
power
away.
is part of my trinity. Remember I talked about that? Power, potential, and your vision.
Right. And it's all takes time.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
We want because like Ern, he's trying to eat now.
Right.
Right? I can't invest in this thing that's going to take time. Can't is a very powerful word, right?
It is.
It limits you. It really limits you on what you can do. And I think also like a lot of people have worth around money, right? Yeah. I'm unworthy to have money. I'm worthy to have money.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. Yeah.
JD, and you talked about, you helped me understand what she's saying about being the 1% in my group, because not a lot, but there are some friends and some peers who I know, who I love and care about, that I get that sentiment from them, that they literally don't feel worthy to be like, oh my gosh, I've never applied for this much money before, or I've never gotten approved for this. Am I like, yes,
you are.
Let me say this on record. We all deserve to be wealthy. Okay.
Yes.
We defined what wealth is now, so now we know what we're saying what we mean when we say wealth. We all deserve to be wealthy. We all deserve to have an abundance. This is what people mean when they talk about abundance mindset. No, it doesn't mean being a high level consumer, just a rich person.
Right.
No, abundance of time, energy, health, that wisdom.
Right. You know, and this is something,
damn.
you know, psychologically, it goes back for a lot of children with adults telling them that they're unworthy because of so-and-so, right?
Or seeing mom and dad say that to themselves or say that to each other, that we're not worthy of this or we can't afford this.
Yeah.
The nature versus nurture thing, it plays into money as well.
And I think additionally to that, it's like also cultivating the not right now. Right? You can accomplish anything, baby, not right now.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of people want instant gratification. We live in a world where we want instant gratification. And I think a lot of our money anxiety flows around that as well, because we want it now. We want to be out of debt next year. And sometimes that's really unrealistic. You have to look at it from a realistic standpoint. And maybe you can't pay down $10,000 in a year, but maybe you could do it in a year and a half, and that's okay.
Yeah, make a plan.
Yeah, make a plan.
Make a plan.
People don't want to downgrade to do that.
And you
especially in
ego.
You have to downgrade.
Ego.
Cities, when you have a lot Atlanta, I'm really talking about Atlanta. You have all these young people because of what.
Oh, I live in Buckhead. I'm in Midtown. Yeah. I got a high rise. I woke up in a Bugatti.
That should be the name of the
episode. You woke up in this high rise and it's great, but you're killing yourself to maintain
the sky rise when you can live on the south side comfortably and still go visit Buckhead, still go have a great time in Midtown, and you're not living far from anything. There are great places to visit in College Park. Yep. There are great bars over there.
Yep.
So, that's really one of the things people don't want to sacrifice. I tell my clients all the time.
I have to, and it's literally only to live up to this
idea.
No one
really cares.
No one is going to notice as soon as you downgrade your house or downgrade your car or sell your house or sell your car to get it to something smaller. No one is going to give a fuck until you tell them.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why people know. People make it seem like it's like, how do people keep talking about these things that I'm doing? It's because you keep posting about them.
Because you keep telling them.
Yeah.
So if you unplug from that and just do the thing.
Do the thing.
The only person that has to deal with it is you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah. Ego is a big thing. There was a podcast episode I listened to. I forgot what it was called, but this young lady spoke about how ego is a huge barrier with families upgrading their wealth. So she broke down the concept of her family. She used a Maserati as an example. If no one in the family can buy a Maserati, if everyone cannot afford it. So we're talking about heads of households. So let's say there's maybe 5 immediate families, right? If each immediate family cannot own a Maserati, if all of us cannot buy a Maserati tomorrow, then family number 1 cannot buy one because we all cannot afford one. And so it's breaking down the concept of very, very nucleus, right? Very nuclear in terms of family. And you have different cultures. It's a cultural thing too. They'll shack up 4 families in one house.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of cultures do it. You have a nice ass house. You got 4 families.
Sonia Richard Ross is doing that. She's now in the Real Housewives, and we can see into her life. Her entire family lives with her.
See?
Yeah. And but it's a thing. It's a cultural thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's no one's saying that that's gonna be it forever. But in order for everyone to do well, let's huddle in for a second and do this. So let's be family number 1 wants to get a Mazzy. Yo, we can't all afford a Mazzy right now. So let's redirect the fact that you have that maybe 30, 40, because you can get a Mazzy for as cheap as $30K. So let's say on the low end, you're paying $30K, high end, you're paying $60K. Let's reroute that. Put one of your nephews into school first, right? Or pay off a debt or some shit like that, whatever. And then guess what? All of us can get a Mazzy in 5 years. Just because you held out just for a little bit for one Mazzy, now we all got Mazzies.
I find that idea, I'm challenged by that idea. I think I'm challenged because it's am I selfish?
Yeah.
Dang, I got money for Mazzy. I gotta wait on you.
Right.
I want to help you out and I want you to get you out of the hole, but why do I have to suffer?
Right.
So I feel a little, I feel challenged.
It's an interesting.
It's an interesting.
It's an interesting. It depends.
On the family though. Like,
Yeah.
because I can totally. I'd rather be. If I had it my way, like, I'd rather be like a little rich with a bunch of people that are a little rich.
Yes.
Than be mad. With
Super rich,
by
and then.
myself.
What's that J. Cole quote you like that? What's the point of me being?
Oh, what's like what good is first class if my niggas can't sit?
Yeah,
No
exactly.
No
Facts.
facts.
And that's the thing. And when it boils down to it, it's really just that temporary sacrifice, like
Yeah.
that you're making, and you
That's
have
all.
to just make sure that people know this is temporary. Like
Temporary,
the
yes.
things that I personally did in my early 20s, those were a lot of temporary sacrifices that I look back on now. And I'm like, girl, remember when you wasn't even going out every weekend?
Yeah.
Like, why are we going out every weekend? Like, calm down. But I can afford to do that if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, but I made those temporary sacrifices to get where I am today. And a lot of people.
And now
they
you have
don't-
discipline.
Yeah, and now I
Now
have.
you're
And
disciplined.
temporary sacrifices has taught me a lot of discipline. And a lot
Very
of people
key.
don't. They lack the discipline to get to wealth. They, they have it to get to be rich, but they lack the discipline to get to true wealth and true wealth of what they define as wealth.
Correct.
Okay, so the opposite of that for me, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that temporary was a few years, right? Let's give a number: 4 years, 5 years.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
What about those people who've been in the same situation for 15, 20 years and just don't seem to be able to get out? They're sacrificing, they're reducing, they're cutting corners, but just can't get out the hole.
I've never I'm challenged by that as well.
People can be left behind.
Yeah.
I wish Adobe was here because I struggle with what you're struggling with, honestly, because I was telling Adobes, I was like, yo, like sometimes I want to look out for all of my family. I was like, sometimes you may have to move with your chosen family because your blood family, yo, we all know, like all skin folk and kinfolk, we know that even your blood family can be your enemy. We know that it can happen. So the default is we assume under the right conditions that everyone is on the same team, right? So all of the Vanessas, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, but all of the Vanessa family, everyone in the Vanessa family, assuming y'all are all on the same page, assuming y'all are all on the same team, then the whole Maserati example can work. But if people truly are just not here for it and they're truly out for themselves, I'm just here for me and my husband.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all. It's like that's not gonna work. You may have to leave them behind, or they may leave y'all behind, right? And so it is a balance. I think that chosen family is so key to consider, because I'm sure you will. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will hold out for somebody.
Right.
Right. I'm sure you will hold out for some people and be like, you know what? What good would it serve for me to get this Mazi if I know that these people I'm deeply connected to are struggling?
Right.
Whatever that threshold is for Vanessa, that's something that Vanessa figures
personal.
out.
That's
Correct.
personal, yeah.
That literally like got me, actually.
Yeah.
It's like saying earlier with my family, like the whole money thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it doesn't make. I'm doing enough for me to be where I am, but not enough for everyone else that I care about to be where they need to be. And I think, at least in my culture and in my family, there's this level of like accountability and responsibility to at least make the attempt to get everyone as far as you've gotten in some capacity.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they
At
have
least
to
try
be-
and level the playing field
try to level the
everywhere.
playing field.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of like wealth when it comes from, because in my head it's like I know it's like I'm not gonna be able. I can't hire my family at my company. That
Right,
I get.
right.
That's not gonna work.
No.
But if I happen to find a real estate property that's in my price range and I can like make this like passive income.
Mm-hmm. Rent it out to your cousin.
Rent it out to my cousin who need to come from Jamaica to go to
Correct.
college.
Exactly.
I need to use the house to proof of address of living in the
States,
States.
yeah.
Something
Done.
like that. Like it's like, okay, that's a way of like helping
Mhm.
Right.
this
The
person.
next step, yeah.
And even in the capacity of like maybe I have my mom like, hey, can you like watch the kids and I'll make sure that like you can sacrifice 2 days of you working and actually like watch your kids, and I'll put you on like salary.
Boom.
That way I can actually
Okay.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Which is
I'll actually hire you as a real
Boom.
babysitter, and you're just my mom.
Yeah,
Right.
and you're getting to do something you love
She
anyway.
loves to
You
do.
love your
She's a
kid. You love
grandmother.
your
She
kid.
loves-
Yeah,
she loves it.
She loves
Loves
that.
it.
Exactly.
which is a good segue, right?
Mm-hmm.
given tools versus I don't know what that verse not enabling. Enabling is not the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
It's not enabling. It is more so just giving people like actually what they want without them having to work for it. I don't know what the one word is, but I know what you. Yeah, it's a word for it.
So because for years, we had, family members like, hey, I can't pay this. We're like, we got you.
Right.
Or we, for years or friends. And we did that. But we're at the point now where it's like, hey, I can't do this. My job's not paying well enough. I'm like, what are you interested in? I'll play for that class.
Yeah.
I'll pay for that class.
Help them get the certification.
Right.
And then you'll see if they truly want it.
Right.
Like the question you presented to me, it's like, okay, the sacrifice, they might be in that situation for 15 years because they weren't using the tools that somebody was giving them during their process and what they were doing. So
yeah, because especially with having immigrant families where random cousin needs whatever back home and that's a challenge, right? It can be a challenge because it almost seems like if you don't do it, it's you don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that it's always the same cousin. And I've given and given and given, but you haven't grown. Right?
Exactly. Accountability.
Right.
Give them some good old accountability.
Right. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, what's that course you wanted? I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, you trying to start a business? All right, cool. I can invest in that. But not giving direct money in the way of, I'll pay that bill for you, or I'm going to do that for you.
And I think sometimes we forget that money is not the only thing that we can give so that we can be wealthy and so that our families can be wealthy. We can give knowledge. We can get, even in now that we're building our wealth, we can give
those
knowledge.
Dinner table conversations go so far.
We can give that peace of mind in a certain way. Maybe a cousin needs somebody to watch the kids 3 times a week so she can go to school, so she can finish her degree. Or she just needs a break so she can focus on building her business, or just her mental so she can focus on her business. So we can give things outside of money, and I think like culturally we kind of like all the same.
Yes.
We don't think about those things. The first thing everyone asks for is money.
Bring this all back to what are the things and I'm going to contextualize this in our families. What are the things we should be doing with our money in our families? Let's go down the line. Let's start with JD.
We talked about this earlier, and I had a conversation about this week. But estates, wills, trusts, making sure that things are legally binding to who they need to be binded to, beneficiaries, just making sure that those things are in order, because life can literally happen at an instant, and you don't know what the heck, you don't know what to do.
Can you briefly differentiate? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. Can you briefly explain a will, an estate, and a trust?
Oh, that is not my wheelhouse.
Okay.
Like
no
to kind of explain to the people
make sure
that
people know, like,
no,
what are
that
those?
is truly
Does
not my wheelhouse. I know.
Any brief definition?
I know what they are, but I truly cannot explain it to the people. We can have somebody on the show. I have the perfect person to sit down and talk to us about this.
Google is a thing.
Yes, but I do have the perfect person to break this down.
So wills, estates, trust.
Yes, wills, estates, trust. The legal backings of finance. We need to really do that.
Okay.
And we should.
I second everything you just said. Additionally, transparency into some of our elders' finances, right? I know they're uncomfortable about talking about it, but at the end of the day, sorry to be gloom, but when they pass away, it's always a disaster to try to figure out where's that, right? You didn't pay this for a while. Transparency.
Funeral home sending you a bill.
Right. Transparency into what they have, because at the end of the day, the family will be responsible for the transition.
Yeah.
I would say I think it's really important to define what it is that you want out of your life, and then what is the money situation that's going to best empower you to live that way. Because we can talk about trusts and wills and incomes and business and investments, but it doesn't matter unless that's kind of like it supports the way that you want to live. So I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy, to me isn't clear enough at all. I would really say get super clear on the life you want to live. How much money do you need to fund that life, and then reverse engineer that as far as what's the best way to get that amount of money.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I would say wealth in terms of like knowledge. So the best thing, time is a beautiful thing because it can show you what was done before, and it shows you your present, and your present you can compare, and that's how you can get to the future. So I figure, at least like when I have kids, and being the older generation in that perspective, giving them everything that I did from this point to raising you. Like, this is how I got here. This is why you have a house. This is why we have food. This is how we put you through school. This is how we, like, being transparent on that level. Like, this is how we bought your clothes. And then they can use that and be like, okay, so now that that's my default, they can break ground on new ways and new green fields of how to build wealth on top of that. So I think that helps it be compounding through like the legacy of your family.
Yeah.
System. One of my favorite influencers says system stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. Build a family financial system.
I like that.
I said this earlier. I'm going to Toronto in a week and a half. I'm dead ass gonna hit up my cousins. I'm like, yo, I'm here for a week, and I have so much knowledge that we need to exchange. We need to have a family meeting, like dead ass, a family business meeting. So we need to build that FFS, family financial system, to save ourselves time, energy, and money. So whether it's for your personal finance, business finance, family finance, like build a system. It'll help all of the hard shit become easier.
Like that. I love it.
I hope y'all got a good sense of what money is, because we talked all about money today. Ooh-wee. Any shout outs? Anybody?
Follow us on Instagram, Our Palette. You always got to shout out the brand.
Absolutely. Definitely got to shout out.
Follow us, all of us individually, except for Julius. He does not want to be found.
Please don't contact him.
Do not contact him.
Yeah.
Do not contact him.
Needs a shirt.
Yeah. That's all I got for y'all.